Hel- Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Collegiate Chess League Fall 2024, brought to us by our sponsors, Susquehanna. We are so excited to be here. My name is Jules. You might know me as Jules Gambit. I stream, I play chess, and this is my co-host, Grandmaster Benjamin Bach. How are you doing today, Ben?
Hi, Jules. Yeah, great to be here with you today. I'm very excited because it's the start of the Collegiate Chess League. And Jules, we have some very exciting matchups today.
We definitely do, including a team very close to your own heart. For people who don't know, you were probably one of the most important members, although I'm sure you wouldn't say it, of the SLU team. So do you think you'll be a little biased here today?
Yeah, I'll try to be neutral, but yeah, I cannot deny that I will be rooting for a little bit for SLU. I mean, I've played there for 6 seasons. We won the last 3 seasons, so I'm not a student there anymore, but they definitely still have a place in my heart. But yeah, overall, I'm just looking forward to some exciting matchups.
Well, let's talk about the match format today. This will be 4 versus 4 team chess today. So all of the boards are going to play each other. We're very excited for it. And we're going to talk a little bit also about the teams, see how it goes. So what do you feel about the format, Bach?
Yeah, I feel like the format was always a lot of fun playing. 5+2 is a little bit longer than, let's say, Title Tuesdays. It's also a little bit shorter than Rapid. It's usually 10+2. Yeah, so usually the stronger team wins, but in these matchups, pretty much anything can happen. So we'll see how that's going to shake out today.
So let's talk about the teams today. We have a bunch of teams. We have University of Missouri, just a bunch of teams competing. But today we're only going to be seeing 2 matches: St. Louis versus Athens and Virginia versus Missouri. So there will also be a match tomorrow, which is SRM versus Yale. And there was a match today earlier, Texas Rio Grande versus Prague, in which Texas Rio won. So we have a lot of exciting matches ahead of us.
hmm Yeah, for sure. And it's really great to see how collegiate chess has grown. I mean, back in the day, it used to only be American universities who used to compete against each other. And now we also have universities from all over the world. And yeah, I think it's going to be super interesting to see how St. Louis is going to do, how Mizzou is going to do as well. In the last couple of seasons, I always felt that with St. Louis, we were the main favorites to win, but Mizzou has gotten perhaps a little bit stronger. And, you know, I left St. Louis. Nicolas Theodore also left St. Louis. So I'm curious to see how they're going to deal with that. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely. And they have a new board 1. So we're going to talk about the board assignments for St. Louis. The first board assignment, we have Robby Kevlishvili, Grandmaster Robby Kevlishvili, taking your place. And we also have on board 2, I will let you do that pronunciation, Bach.
Nicolas Checa.
Thank you. And then Grandmaster Batsurin Dambasurin, and then NM Shelev Oberoi. And then for the Athens team, on first board, we have International Master Dimitri Alexius. Then we have Konstantinos Tsaritalios, sorry, doing my best here, FIDE Master Valios Kassiomis, and then FIDE Master Gregorios Draculakos. So we have a lot of this is actually a little bit of a uneven matchup here. I think you could say based on rating that St. Louis would be maybe the front runner and Athens is the underdog, but anything could happen. How do you think this match is going to go?
Yeah, I feel like St. Louis is definitely the favorite in this matchup. As we see, St. Louis has 3 GMs with Robby Kevlishvili, Nicolas Checa, and Batsurin Namasurin. And even their board 4, he might be known to some of the people on Twitch as Elliot Anderson. He's like 2800 Blitz on Chess.com. So he is also a very strong Blitz player. But it's definitely interesting to see how they're going to do. Last year, it was pretty much the same theme. But anyway, we have the first moves on the board as we see Shelev Oberoi opening up with d4, knight f6, and knight to c3. I guess he's aiming to play the Jobava London. There we have it with the move bishop f4.
And Benjamin, I know that the Jobava London is kind of controversial. A lot of people don't like it. How do you see it as a blitz prep in a format like this?
I think in Blitz definitely carries some venom, and here we see Shelev opening up the center right away with e2, e4. This is a kind of a gambit. I think this is also what Danya and Borny cover in their course, bishop e5, pinning the knight. Here black goes bishop d7 usually, but it's a good time for Shalev that black is thinking here. And a6, I don't remember that one as being the main move.
Do you think maybe he's going a little bit out of book to try to get his opponent out of his book as well? Or maybe it's just, you know, forgetting your theory, it happens?
Yeah, I think he just forgot the theory, or he's not fully aware. But a6, I mean, looks fine as well. He's defending the pawn on d5. Let's see what Shalev is going to do here. Queenside castles make sense to increase the pressure on the d5 pawn. But I guess black is going to go e7, e6. And even though the evil bar is indicating that white has a slight advantage, I think anything can happen here. You know, white is a slight lead in development, but black has more pawns in the center, and black also has the bishop pair.
There's also that kind of interesting file if there's a queenside castle, that B file could be a little dangerous. Would we be worried about that?
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that black can try to utilize later on. For the moment, getting a rook to b8 is not going to be as easy as the bishop is controlling that square, but definitely later on, that's definitely something that Shalev has to think about. So he goes knight f3, keeping the option open to go kingside castles as well.
It makes a lot of sense there. And we can see if we're going to get a really aggressive game, a more slow positional game. But this is a fast format, Benjamin. Do you think that will change how these players choose to play?
Yeah, so I think they'll just have to be practical. They just have to follow their intuition. It's not a classical game. So yeah, you just have to play the moves that look good to you. I like what Shalev is doing here with knight f3 to e5, bishop d7. Looks a little bit passive, but it's always interesting to see. Right, we see Shalev is the board 4 on the St. Louis team. He's playing the board 1 on the Athens team. Now, if you're the board 1 and you're playing the board 4, you're really supposed to win, because if you don't win that matchup, like how are you gonna make it a close match? So Dimitri's perhaps under a little bit of pressure here right out of the opening.
No, absolutely. That could be a lot of pressure. You want to make sure you start strong, and that is a tough one. That's a tough one. So probably going to go in with everything he's got.
Hmm. For sure. And here we see c5 attacking the queen on d4. Let's see where Shalev is going to go. But let's perhaps pull up another game. Let's pull up the game of, or let's stay in bird's eye for a little bit. We see queen d3 here. Shalev, I think he's doing pretty well on the board, but he's having a little bit less time on the clock.
And does that make a difference in this time format? You do have increment, but at the same time, it is blitz, it is quick. Going behind on time, could that decide a match? Or do you think this will all be decided on the board itself?
No, the time definitely is a big factor as well. Like you said, there is the increment, so it's going to be harder to get flagged. I mean, it can definitely still happen if you are in a complicated position. You forget about the time for a second, all of a sudden you lose the game. But most of the time, usually when you get low on time, what happens is that you start making mistakes. So it's very important to manage your clock right, to try to build up an advantage on the clock and try to pressure your opponent to make mistakes in complicated positions. So it's going to be interesting to see how the players will try to do that.
How they're trying to put as much pressure on as possible. Maybe that's why they chose the Jobava London as a weapon here, which is known to be a pretty sharp, aggressive opening, even though the London doesn't quite have that reputation, the normal London.
Exactly. Yeah, no, but like you said, the Jubav London definitely carries some venom. Let's have a look at the new St. Louis captain, as Robby Kevlishvili, the board 1 of St. Louis, is taking on Grigorios Drakoulakos. All right, so we have a very interesting Sicilian. We see that Robby is having the double pawns on f7 and f6, but in return he has the bishop pair. He also has a lot of pawns in the center, so even though Black's king is in the center, it should be pretty safe over there. And he goes rook g8, asking white how he's going to defend that pawn on g2, and white answers that question with f2, f4.
This is very sharp, very aggressive. Also, it looks like White's king is a little bit vulnerable here. Where would you put White's king to keep it safe?
I would go for queenside castles. I mean, for the moment, kingside castles is not even a legal move. And there we see Grigorios going queenside castles. I don't know. I feel like Robby's king is safe for the moment, but sooner or later, White's going to break with f4, f5. And I feel like these pawns in the center are a little bit vulnerable. So I don't quite like what Robby is doing here, but Robby One thing he is usually doing quite well is that he's playing quickly, and that's what we're seeing here as he's up a minute on the clock.
And this is your new team captain, so this is the person who's filling your shoes, Ben. How do you feel? Do you think he's feeling the pressure of having to lead the team to victory again, as you have in the past?
I mean, Robbie, he's looking pretty relaxed right now, so I don't think he's like feeling stressed or anything like that. But to be fair, I remember when I was the captain, Robbie's like, "Yeah, well, you're the captain, but the captain doesn't even do that much." But now he's the captain. He's like, "Well, I have to register people, submit the lineup, all of those things, and it's actually, it takes quite a bit of time." So he's appreciating the previous captain a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's not going to be easy for St. Louis to defend their title. I think they're definitely still one of the main contenders. But honestly, I feel like maybe Mizzou could be the main favorite this season, as St. Louis. I mean, they did lose their two players that were around 2,600, both Nicolas Theodorou and myself. So I'm curious to see how they're gonna fill that gap.
Absolutely. And Mizzou will be playing next, so we're going to see how they'll hold up, how they will perform as well. And maybe that first kind of match of the season will give us a glimpse into what we're looking at and maybe even who we're rooting for. If you're in the chat and you want to say which team you're rooting for, that is always very interesting. A lot of people love the underdogs as well. Anything could happen.
Hmm. Right, and we see a5 here by Robbie trying to create some counterplay on the queen side. We see F takes c6. The computer is giving a question mark, but looks pretty fine to me. And I feel like Robbie is trying to create some counterplay on the queen side, but it seems a little slow for the moment. Whereas White is already making some inroads towards the black king. Maybe queen h6 looks like a nice move. You're hitting the pawn, and queen h5 could also be an annoying check.
Oh, that is really nice. And how exactly would you defend against that? Would you just try to, and it's played. So there you have it.
I don't know. I don't see a great defense, but it's up to Robbie to figure it out. He is having the time advantage on the clock, but at the end of the day, the position on the board is still the more important thing, right? I mean, you'd choose an extra queen over extra time on the clock any day of the week. So yeah, well, we'll see how he's going to figure this out. I mean, it looks problematic. This pawn is hanging. Maybe he just needs to abandon the king side. Maybe go c6, c5, threaten a4 and c4, and hope that White's initiative on the king side isn't too threatening.
And they must be nervous seeing that this is the first game. This kicks it off. Of course, it is a lot of high pressure. You have their former captain even commentating, so it's going to be tough. And as you said, they're probably really feeling it right now. Although you did say he looks calm, he looks relaxed, but this position does seem to be a little uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah, White just captured the pawn on h7, rook f8. All right, so now I guess White can take the pawn on a4. That's what he does. c7 played. C6, c5. All right, taking the knight. But let's also have a look at another game. We also have the game between Batsur and Dambasur against Konstantinos Tsitalidis. All right, so Batsur having a great position here as he's up a pawn. Strong d-pawn. And Black's king is also a little bit vulnerable. So, yeah, Batsur really has to win this game to put the St. Louis team ahead.
Wow, yeah, that looks really nice, that pass pawn right there. And yeah, that king is very, very strong on g2. It looks like it's very well defended. So would you just try to make some play with this pawn? Would you try for some queenside play? What exactly is his plan?
Yeah, I like what Batsur is doing here. He goes d6, just pushing the d pawn forward, and I don't see a good defense here for Black against d7. And if you go rook d8, bishop c7, and Black can pretty much resign. So I think we're gonna see a point for Batsur any moment now. I think something like bishop c7, knight d8, and then, or maybe bishop d6 first. Bishop d6, rook a8, bishop c7, something like that should just be winning. So I think Batsur is about to put St. Louis ahead.
All right, you think that's going to be the first point of the day?
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So we see, okay, king f7, bishop d6, attacking the rook. Yeah, Black's still fighting on here, but rook e7 is going to come, followed by rook e8. So this is going to be over anytime soon. And yep, there we have it. St. Louis taking the lead.
And we don't have a commentator's curse today. St. Louis does have the first point here. There still is a lot to go, a bunch of different games to look over.
Hmm. Right, so let's have a look at the game between Nicolosi Kacharava and Vasilios Kasi, Kasiumis. If we can pull that one up. Looks like a very interesting game. Almost all of the pieces still on the board. Black sacrificing a pawn in the middle, but now the pawn on g4 could be hanging in some variations as well. We see here that Nicolosi is the reigning favorite, but perhaps Vasilios can create an upset here.
And Vasilius looks very locked in, very focused, and takes the pawn. So, looking at this position here, it almost seems that both of the kings are very, very vulnerable. And we have takes. Do you think that's just to open up that H file right there?
Hmm. Yes, h6, g5, that looks very scary for black, as now the h-file is opening up, whereas white's king is still sitting fairly safe in the middle. Maybe something like king e2, followed by rook ag1. He goes queenside castles, also looking like a good move, even though, I mean, this does allow a check on f4, and it gives black some time. So perhaps Botsurin still has an opportunity here to fight back.
And do you think one of those rooks is going to go to g1? That can look like it might be a little scary.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that looks terrifying for black with the open h file and the half open g file. We see bishop e6 by Nicolosi trying to trade off the bishops. Oh, wait, rook ag1 could be met with queen takes f3. Look at this, because if you take, then the queen on b3 could be hanging. So I guess that's a little trap that Nicolosi is setting. Let's see how Vasilios is going to deal with that as we're entering into a bit of a time scramble here.
Right, and if bishop retreats, would it be possible to have it be hit with f5? Or what are we looking at here? What is a like, do you just have to take queen takes? What is the best follow-up here to meet this threat?
Good question,
I
yeah.
guess it would have to retreat to c4, right?
Oh,
And
no,
you
but now
hang the
queen takes
knight.
f3. That was the trap that black was setting. And yeah,
And
that's why
he
it's
fell
giving a
for
double
it.
question mark.
And that's what he saw right away. Takes. Oh, that is rough.
Oh, poor Vasilios. Yeah, and you see that he was a little bit shocked by the
He
move queen
sees
takes
it.
f3. It's not completely over yet, as white still has a pawn and the black king is quite exposed, but Nicolosi up a piece here, so that is the bit of luck you need in a match like this. In the meantime, by the way, Shelev has won his game against Dimitris Alexakis. That's definitely a big result for the St. Louis team. I mean, if your board 4 beats the board 1, then you're doing some good business.
Absolutely. That must be a tough result to face. There are still some games ahead of them, so still some chances, but it makes a comeback pretty
Hmm.
difficult,
Right. Yeah, I
especially with this
just
position coming up here.
in the meantime, by the way, Robby Kevlishvili did lose his first game. So that is a big result for
Wow.
Athens. They are board 4 beating the St. Louis board 1. So yeah, maybe the pressure of being the captain got to Robby. Who knows? Anyway, this game is far from over. Queen takes g5. This black king on g8 is pretty exposed.
Pretty vulnerable. Yeah, there might be tactics. We might see something coming up. Maybe a counter tactic, a revenge, like you got me, let's see if I can get you here.
Oh, the computer does not like that one. Maybe just queen. Okay, queen g4 looks a little bit mysterious to me. I thought the queen should have gone to h5. Now rook f7. Nicolosi getting his defensive forces together. And after queen h5, then the black king can run with king f8. So if Nicolosi wins this game, he will put the St. Louis team ahead. And it's always nice to start with a lead. And there the king runs with king f8.
Absolutely. It's always nice to start with the lead, and we've had so many upsets on these boards so far. Like, I don't think anyone could have really expected all of the results going on here. So I guess that shows. Do you think that's because of the first game nerves? Do you think it's because of the fast time format? What has your experience been like here?
Yeah, I think definitely you can be feeling a little bit rusty, shaky at the beginning of the match. So I think that explains some of the results here, especially Robbie losing the first game. I'm sure he'll steady the ship in the next couple of games and get some more points on the board. I mean, he was always one of our. Oh, there goes the B7 pawn. That's this game is far from over. So I think it's just the fact that it's the first game, and there's always a little bit of nerves before these matches.
Sure, and also during time scrambles, like this game going on right now, there's a time scramble. Both people are under 10 seconds. I don't know if we'll see a flag with the increment, but anyone can blunder.
Yeah, anything can happen here. And I feel like it's very easy with black to blunder as his king on e7 is feeling quite exposed. d4, nice move by white. Rook b7, threatening mate. White saw rook e2. Oh, wait. Oh, rook takes f6. Rook takes f6 and rook f4. Is there? Rook takes f6 and rook f2.
Look at that eval bar swinging it back and forth. There's so many tactics on the board. I don't even think the players see all the tactics going on here. It is definitely hard to see. It's just going to be who spots it, who blunders last. Look at that.
Yeah.
And they're so focused. It's so intense. Under 10 seconds to go.
Right, rook g6, okay. Rook h2, yeah, threatening rook h7. Again, it feels easier to play this with white as the black king is super exposed. But 5 seconds for white. Queen h5.
And I guess black can't really take advantage of their piece.
Check on h8, check on h7, and like queen. It feels like there's got to be a win here for white, but I don't quite see it either. The king has to move. Rook f3 maybe? Who knows what's going on here?
And he does play rook f3. Feels like this is a puzzle rush tactic.
I know, yeah. King d3, it still feels like... Okay, queen g6. Now we should be in a drawn rook and pawn in game, but white definitely still pushing with the extra pawn.
Right, and he's probably going to try to push for the win. And right now, the score is 1-2, correct? So if the score is 1-2, then that means Athens needs a win to draw it. A draw will not be good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so let's see. But yeah, even if this game ends in a draw, St. Louis will have the lead, but it's only 1 point, so it's still very, very, very early on. So let's see how Vasilios will try to push this endgame. I feel like Nicolosi should hold this with his GM experience. Rook c6 here. But, you know, with 6 seconds, it's no position is easy.
Do you think these endgames can be particularly tricky when there's not a lot of time on the clock, or is it kind of just instinct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's usually just you try to follow your instincts. Of course, the knowledge that you have in these endgames. Rook a1, I think. Okay, that's also fine. Yeah, I guess you just... Looks tricky, though, the active white king now. Check. I don't know, why making progress here? King c6, yeah, threatening mate, so you have to give a check. I don't know, I feel like white is pretty... Oh, but rook c4. And now this should be an instant draw.
We'll probably see that result coming up soon, thinking the best way to keep pushing.
King c5, okay, rook b1. Or king c6, just check. Check. And yeah, rook d1 should be fine, king up. You can go king c7 here. I guess maybe you can even push your own pawn. This should just lead to a draw. King back. As even without the a pawn, this is a pretty standard draw.
Still going for the mate, though. I guess anything can happen. People can hang mate. People can hang tactics, even positions like this.
Right, rook h1 is the typical move without this a pawn. I mean, I'd say at some point you can also push the pawn up the board, but Nicolosi showing some good defensive technique, and I guess this game should just end in a draw pretty soon.
And if this game ends in a draw, it will be 1.5 to 2.5 points, which is fairly close for Athens versus the reigning champ, SLU. I think they might be satisfied with that result, and we see it. It is a draw, 1.5 to 2.5. How do you think this is going to feel to both of the teams, Ben?
Yeah, I think St. Louis overall, they're not going to be unhappy. I mean, they do take the lead in the match, so that obviously must feel good. For Athens, they definitely had some missed opportunities, so I guess they cannot be too unhappy either. I mean, they're still in the match. They're not behind by like 2 or 3 points. But definitely in this game, Vasilios missed some big opportunities. So I guess he particularly must be feeling a bit disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. And the players had some upsets on the board as well. Their performances weren't exactly what was expected, although, it does seem like a lot of these games were played very well. What do you think was the biggest upset of the round, the most unexpected result?
Yeah, the most unexpected result of this round was definitely Robby Kevlishvili losing to the board 4 of Athens. Robby outrated him by quite a lot, but he went down with the black pieces. So yeah, let's see how he will steady the ship. I think he was just feeling a little bit rusty since it was the first round, but I'm confident that Robby will turn things around in the next couple of games.
Absolutely. And that means that it's 1.5 to 2.5. There's still many games to go, lots to come up ahead of us. So we will see how it will go.
But yeah, definitely for Shelov, the board 4 on the St. Louis team, it must feel great for him. I think he's making his debut in the Collegiate Chess League, and if you beat the board 1 of the opposing team, that must definitely feel good. So let's see how he will do in the next games to come. Yeah, again, he is a pretty dangerous online player. He's beaten some big names. I mean, I think I also lost a game against him once. Yeah, he flagged me, but I think he also once beat like Nicolas Theodoru. I think maybe he
Right.
held a draw against MVL or something. So he can hold his own against some very strong players.
Right. I've seen him play online all of the time. And even if their OTB ratings are lower in these time formats, I think blitz ratings might even be of equal importance to their classical ratings. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, in the meantime, by the way, we are off in round number 2. We see in the top left-hand corner Batur and Dombasur playing the Caracan defense against Dimitris Alexakis. And we see an exchange variation with white positioning the bishop on d3 and going h3, making it difficult for black to develop that light square bishop. But Batur solves that problem by going g7, g6, and then bishop f5 to trade off those bishops.
Right. And in this kind of, I don't see exchange Caro a lot. Do you think there's a particular reason why? Some reason
It's
that
just
people
a
don't
little
play
bit
it as much?
boring. It's just a little bit boring. And I feel like usually people want to do something a little bit more aggressive, like the advanced variation or maybe the fantasy variation or, you know. So, yeah, I think that's the reason. People find it a little bit boring. I mean, white can maybe claim a very slight advantage here because the bishop on g7 is arguably a little bit misplaced as it's a little bit stuck staring at this pawn on d4. White also has the half open e-file to work with. So let's see how both players will play this position. But generally speaking, black is just so super solid in this line.
Right. And that might be what they're going for, just something solid, try to outplay their opponent. But yeah, do you think we have any interesting openings on the board so far, or are we seeing something a little bit quieter?
Yeah, I mean, looking around, I definitely see some interesting openings. We see in Robbie's game, he's having a knight over, looks like. But the game that really catches my attention is the game between Konstantinis and Shelov, as there we have a very interesting imbalance. We see that white has a slight lead in development, but black has the bishop pair, and black also has damaged pawns. So it's going to be super interesting to see who will handle this position better.
So, what do you think when you have damaged pawns? What do you think the number one priority is for any player? Would it be to fix their pawn
Mhm.
structure to not go into an endgame, to try for an attack? Is it position dependent?
Mhm. Um, yeah, so in the position right here between Konstantinis and Shelov, let's actually go to that game, as I'm very curious to see how Shelov will continue his play. I mean, he started off with a win. Yeah, I think for White's going to try to attack this king on h8. Another idea could be to, let's say, put a rook on d1 and play for d4, d5. With black, it's never that easy. I feel like a usual setup for black is to go b7, b5, followed by bishop b7. But here that's going to be difficult, as the moment you go b5, you invite knight e5. But Shelov just played b5 anyway, and the computer does not approve of that move.
Right. And when you get that really nice outpost, is there any real easy way to kick that knight out, or is that knight just there to stay? Would you want to trade? What would you want to do there?
Good question. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be difficult to kick the knight away. We see 95 on the board, attacking the rook in a corner. So let's say, I guess rook a7 is a pretty standard move here. I guess White's going to go rook a81 to defend this pawn on d4. And yeah, it's not going to be easy to get rid of this knight on e5. So I quite like Konstantinis' chances here.
That makes a lot of sense there in that position. And that would be a big win for him if he can pull that off as well. Again, the first point of these games is always important. It really sets the tone, even if the players don't quite know it. So I think that will be interesting. Oh, do we see the bishop takes rook on a8?
Yeah, Shelov went for an exchange sacrifice, but I think it makes some sense. He was in a bit of a passive position if he didn't go for this. So let's see what's going to happen. I guess we'll see a queen trade here. Black does have the bishop pair and a bit of pressure on this diagonal. So I think, practically speaking, a nice decision here by Shelov, and it's good to see that he's not shy. He's not shy to make such sacrifices in a match like this.
Right. Always going for always trying to be aggressive. And as you said, he is a huge onliner. He's a big online player. He's probably used to a lot of these sacrifices. Are they quite thematic in these positions, or is this just kind of going with his gut, do you think?
I think he just went with his gut, yeah. But maybe he already was planning it after b7, b5. But right now he's taking a little bit of time. I like to move knight d7, then I could go to b6 and then a c4, hitting the pawn on b2, which would be a little bit awkward to deal with. And also, by the way, when the knight is on c4, knight d2 would be a threat. So even though white has the extra exchange for only a pawn, I think black has pretty good practical compensation.
Absolutely. And they're going to have to take advantage of that. It's a very interesting position here. So, what do you think the strategy is for white? Since you're up material, do you want to try to trade pieces? Do you want to try to solidify your position first? How should they go about it?
Good question. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like black has the easier play here with knight b6 and knight c4 coming. So I don't know how I feel about the move rook d1. I mean, I think in some cases it would have made sense to play knight d1 to neutralize the pressure along the diagonal a little bit. Now knight c4 seems annoying to deal with. But also b4 is a threat, attacking the knight, as the knight can no longer go to a4, bishop b2. Yeah, I guess b4 now. b4 attacking the knight, and you take the pawn on b2. And I think black is already for choice, as you get a second pawn, and black still has very active piece play.
Right. And then also that knight does not seem like it will be very beneficial in b1. I don't know.
hmm Yeah, so Shelov seems to be doing pretty well here. Let's have a look at the bird's eye view to see how the other boards are doing. I feel like on board one, but Surin might be in a little bit of trouble as, look at this, Demetrius is doing a great job on the queen side. However, if you take on b5 right now, black might have bishop takes d4, so maybe you need to play a move like, well, let's pull up that game, give me just a second. We have it right here. So yeah, if you take on b5 right now, black has the counter tactic with bishop takes d4. Or, wait, is there a funny line like bishop takes d4, queen takes b5, bishop h6, threatening mate, and
Ooh,
f6, queen takes d5.
f6.
Maybe that works.
That would be crazy. Well, avoiding that now.
All right, so bishop b5 instead was played. I still feel like white has a good chance for an advantage. If you take the pawn on b5, the pawn on b7 will be quite weak. So Dimitri's playing a nice game here, and yeah, we see Athens is a little bit behind. So perhaps this could be a game for them where they could try to cut into St. Louis's, where they could cut into the deficit a little bit.
And this is where they need to. I am Demetrius is board one for Athens, and he is playing against board three. So this win is very important, not just for this particular round of games, but the match as a whole.
hmm All right, so let's see, bishop b5, a nice controlling move. But Surin in the tank right now. He's behind on the clock, also in a worse position. So he must be feeling some of the pressure. But I think he's playing from the SLU team room, if I'm not mistaken. I've been there many times, of course, myself.
Is he actually?
Uh, yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Anyway, bishop e5 on the board. Okay, f6, he's blocking in his own bishop, but I guess he's going for the e5 push in the center, which has its pros and cons. So we'll see how it will play out.
It seems like quite an aggressive move.
hmm All right, rook takes b5 looks quite tempting right now, putting pressure on the pawn on b7. I feel like you don't really want to trade out the queens. It feels like that's selling your... Although queen takes b5 also is a move. Just keeping all of the pressure on the queen side, even in the endgame.
That makes a lot of sense there. And that's probably what he's considering right now. If you look at his face, he looks like he's really, really calculating. Both players seem under pressure. It's great that we have cameras here because it's always great to see their reactions and how focused they look, what they're doing, how much they're calculating.
Yeah, no,
If they're
it's
stressed.
great for sure. I mean, it really adds oh, he takes on e5. I'm not a big fan of that move. I feel like now maybe just rook takes c5. You defend the pawn on b5, you solve a lot of the problems, and that's what Batsurin does. And actually, after takes, isn't Black still a pawn ahead? Yeah, he is. So that's definitely a big missed opportunity by Dimitri's there. But you're absolutely right. The cameras definitely add a layer to chess broadcasting, because for the longest time there was only the live board. So it's great to see the players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a complicated position. We have actually some fans of Demetrius in the chat. Fabulous saying, let's go, Demetrius. So he's probably feeling it from the fans back home as well. It's definitely a difficult position. I think it's probably still anyone's game here. Do you have any advanced predictions on how this game will go? Chatters, Ben, what do you think?
I think this game can go either way, but I'm gonna go with Batsurin. He's the GM. He's up a pawn. That's my prediction for now. But anyway, let's go to bird's eye view as this match is heating up. Shelev is on fire. He also won his second game with the black pieces, so great stuff by him, carrying the St. Louis team for now as the board four. Things are really heating up in Robby's game because he is up a few pawns on queen side, but his king is under a lot of fire.
And Shelf being board four, he is a very, very strong board four, especially in blitz. So that might be a conscious decision from SLU team. Let's take a look at this game here
Wow,
of
bishop takes
Robby's
f2.
game,
That's a
correct?
nice shot by
Oh,
Vasilios. So in case white takes the bishop, then black goes rook takes f3 with a check. And if you take, black takes with a check again. And wherever the king goes, you will take the knight with check as well. So bishop takes f2, great shot by Vasilios. Let's see how this game is going to go. I mean, if Robby lost the first game, I mean, can happen. But if he loses the second game as well, that would be, of course, a bit of an unfortunate start for him. So let's see how he will deal with this bishop takes f2 shot.
and it's nice because you're no longer hanging back rank. It's a nice piece of calculation. If he loses two games, do you think that might be a little bit tilting? Do you think even losing the first game was a little bit tilting, or have you known him as a resilient player who will be able to bounce back?
I mean, usually he's pretty chill. He doesn't get super tilted or anything, so I don't really think that's going to happen here. But maybe it's just an indication that he's slightly out of form. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. King g2 played. Okay, if you take the rook, there's a check on f3. It feels like black should have a perpetual, but the question is, do you have more? Or can white play for more? So queen f4, there's also knight g4, okay, king takes g5. I feel like also this game can go either way.
Taking it with check, and that king seems a little bit vulnerable out in the open. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a perpetual there. Do you think that's what he's going for? Maybe he's even fighting for the win. Oh, what happened there, Ben?
I don't know. To me, king e6 looked like a normal move, but the computer did not like it. And queen f4, quite a cunning move by black. I mean, you have a few checks, but you're going to run out of checks very quickly. And in the meantime, this e-pawn is just going to march down the board. So Robby definitely under some pressure here. Let's see what he's going to do. Maybe he should have gone to the g5 square instead. He's got 30 seconds here to figure something out. I mean, again, this e-pawn looks quite scary.
And this is actually the last game for now. Like, this is the last game. All the other results are in for this match right here. We have had some pretty interesting results. We can take a look at that. I am trying to read the names here if you have it up. So Batsorin is lost that game, I believe. Wait, let's take a look. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, no, Batsorin won that game, which means that is a point for SLU right there. Of course, Shelev, as we said before, also won the game. And then we have Athens drawing Nikolai over there.
Right, so SLU ahead
Nicolas
5-2,
sorry.
but Robby under E1 queen, and I don't think you get a lot of checks. So Robby in a world's trouble here. I think he's going to lose again, as he's about to run out of checks. I mean, you can still hope for something with the pass pawns on the queen side, but a queen is a lot. I mean, if you be down a rook, maybe, but with an extra queen, it's asking for a lot here.
But even with that extra point, the match will not be tied up just yet. So he has a little bit of wiggle room because of his teammates' performances, correct?
Yep, his teammates are carrying him for the moment. Maybe just take an h2, pick up the pawn, and then... Okay, I feel like black... I don't know. I mean, it should be good enough, but yeah, king d5, king c6. I mean, again, an extra queen is a lot of material, so I'm pretty sure Vasilis is just going to win this game.
And after this round, we will be going to break, which also means the players will be getting a break. It's a good time for them to be able to reset, to be able to try again. Especially with this game, it looks like Kevlishvili will need to reset, and we'll see how it goes because he has lost the round. FIDE Master Vasilios has won the round, scoring a point for Athens. And
Yeah,
look
so
at
St. Louis... Oh, yeah, but yeah, so St. Louis winning this round again, 2.5, 1.5. They have a lead by 2 points, which is definitely something, but Athens is fighting. They're definitely still in the match, but Robby's going to have to step it up. Or, you know, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe his teammates will just carry all the way through. Let's see.
Yeah, it still seems like SLU is doing very well. They are the front runner not only for this match, but maybe even for the whole season, depending on who you are rooting for. But it seems like Athens has done an extraordinary job so far against one of the toughest opponents and one of the toughest matches of the season. So we have it so far, Athens at 3, St. Louis at 5. It has been kind of a crazy round, and they'll be going to break, we'll be going to break. We'll see how it is when they get back as well. What do you think, Bach?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the break comes at a good moment for Robby. He has some time to recover, maybe make some adjustments and come back stronger in the second half. But overall, yeah, Batsurin is doing a good job. He's on 2 out of 2. Shelov, especially as the board 4, is doing an amazing job on 2 out of 2 at his debut. So, yeah, he must be feeling great, and I'm curious to see if he can carry that momentum in the second half as well. But yeah, I feel like if Robby finds his form, then it's especially going to be tough for the Athens team. So, yeah, let's see if Athens still has a chance for a comeback.
Well, let's see. Anything can happen. And meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about Halloween costumes. Bach, Halloween is coming up soon. Have you ever wanted to dress like a king without needing a crown? Or like a knight without owning a horse? Now you can. Our chess piece costumes let you live the dream, whether you're the bossy queen, a sneaky bishop, or just a pawn in someone else's game. We've got you covered, literally. Use !merch in chat or visit chess.com/shop to get the party started. What do you think? What chess piece would you be, Ben?
No chess piece. I wouldn't go as a chess piece
None.
for Halloween. No.
You wouldn't go as a chess piece?
No.
Well, maybe
you?
we could change your mind. Yeah, oh, of course I would. Are you kidding? That would be such a funny costume to show up as, but I do have a unique sense of humor when it comes to Halloween costumes, so I don't know. Hopefully someone shares them.
Okay. Okay.
Were you afraid of the whole country watching to embarrass yourself?
Okay.
Were you afraid of the whole country watching to embarrass yourself? Wonderful.
It's edited. I think it's edited.
Yeah, it's clearly.
But it's close to how it was, but it's a little bit edited, yeah.
Not a little bit. It's completely edited.
No, but it really was like that, yeah. Like the Eval bar in Hikaru's videos, yeah. Right? Edited. Edited afterwards by the editor. Not how it really happened. Afterwards, taken from somewhere else and placed in the middle. And then squeezed.
You know, before this, I thought I would be the one getting into trouble. Now I think it's you.
Lawyered. Okay.
As VD, I would play rook e8, bishop c3, queen h4, queen b2, queen h5, and then bishop e2, queen g5, bishop f1, bishop f7, h4.
Better than Hikaru's lines. Better than those lines that Hikaru rattles out.
Hikaru learned from somewhere.
Yeah,
Actually,
because Hikaru likes that thing
Hikaru
when
was
he's...
in Norway. This was
Yeah,
candidates.
yeah, but Hikaru's was like completely off. Like I checked it afterwards with the engine, the line makes no sense at all.
Firuzha,
Yeah, it makes no sense at all, that line.
I think only the head bob was missing here. Like Hikaru was doing this.
Ah, true. Wow! Wow!
That's a good one. We have to watch again.
No, this is a good one, yeah.
It's a really good one.
Yeah, some good editing there. Wow.
Nice.
Ooh, slick. Okay.
Nice.
Oof, awkward. Yeah, this whole thing is like.
But I think
it's embarrassing when you play candidates and you.
He does it on, like, you know, he knows the content game. So it's not like Hikaru doesn't know the spelling of Nepo.
True.
Mate is in 4 moves from the position in front of you. Don't move until you figure it out in your head. Don't look at me for a hint.
I can't do it without moving the pieces.
Yes, you can. Clear the lines of men in your head, one at a time, and the king will be left standing alone, like a guy on a street corner. I'll make it easier for you.
What was that about?
I thought it would help.
How does that help?
You know, visualization and stuff.
I'm not picking up the pieces.
Sometimes you don't need to do anything crazy to get better. You just need to reassess your chess. I'm Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, and I'm presenting Jeremy Silman's How to Reassess Your Chess now on Chessable. So go to chessable.com/
Okay.
Before, were you afraid of the whole country watching that you'll embarrass yourself? Wonderful.
It's edited. I think it's edited.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Collegiate Chess League 2024, sponsored and presented by Susquehanna, and we are so happy to be here today. We have a really interesting matchup going on right now. It is SLU, who are the reigning champions, I believe 3 seasons in a row, against Athens, who is doing very, very well. A lot of upsets this round. We've had some crazy games. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, so St. Louis definitely is the favorite. They're leading by 2 points, but Athens, they're fighting hard. You know, they're giving St. Louis a tough time here. So I'm curious to see if they can really make this a close one, or if St. Louis is gonna win the match in the next couple of rounds. I think if Robby gets into form, then it's gonna be tough for Athens. So let's see if the break came at the right time for him.
Absolutely, and we have some interesting lineups for this next round over here. We have International Master Demetrius Alexis against Grandmaster Nicolas Checa. We have Konstantinos Tzaritalios 4-2 against Board 1 Grandmaster Robby Kevlishvili. We have FIDE Master Vasilios Kassiomis against NM Shelev Oberoi, and actually he did really, really well last round. Then he's actually been playing very, very well, had some great upsets. Then we have FM Gregorius Draculis 4-4 against 4-3 GM Batsurin Damperzurin. So lots of mouthfuls of names there. Hope I did my best on pronouncing them, but it will be a really interesting lineup. These boards are closer than ever before, really.
Yeah, and round number 3 has just started. So let's go to bird's eye. We see the game between Nicolas Checa and Dimitris Alexakis has started. We see an English opening with white going for very early g3, and c6 was met with knight f3. And here we see a fight by black, grabbing a lot of space on the king side. So let's see how Nicolas is going to deal with this. But Dimitri is going for a fight. He knows his team is behind. They need a point. So let's see how this game is going to develop. And the game between Robby Kevlishvili and Konstantinos has started as well. But yeah, very interesting game here between Nicolas and Dimitris. Usually what white will try to do here is go for b4, b5 to put some pressure on black's queen side. So let's see if we'll see that in this game as well.
That's interesting. So we usually get an early queenside push, maybe trying to break up that pawn structure there.
Mm-hmm. Right, so here, yeah, b4 is a pretty typical plan. I'd be surprised if Nicolas doesn't play it. I mean, if you play the English as white, that's okay. d4 I don't quite like, as black can go e5, e4, grabbing a lot of space and neutralizing this bishop on g2. And now I feel like Dimitris should have a pretty good game.
Yeah, and it seems like Nicolas is going to have to move the knight. Where is the best spot for the knight there? We see it going to e1, probably going for this f3 break at some point. Is that a plan, or is that too weakening?
Yeah, f3 does weaken the white position a little bit, and also black's center is so super solid that even if you go f3, black is defending everything. So I quite like black's position here. The bishop on g2 is now completely neutralized. Black has very strong center, bishop b6 coming next. That's why perhaps queen b3 is a good move, as now bishop b6 is going to hang the b7 pawn. So let's see how Dimitris is going to deal with this. But I feel like if he can consolidate in the next couple of moves, he should definitely have the advantage.
Right, and he looks very focused there at the board. Again, we've been talking about these cameras, how much we love them. They really add a lot to the match, and you can see both of these players are very, very focused on the game ahead of them. This is Athens, board 1 against SLU's board 2. So it's going to be maybe a closer matchup. Do you have any predictions, Chat and Ben? What do you think?
I mean, right now, I like Dimitris' position, so maybe he's going to score a point here. But yeah, it's interesting to see these players are in different time zones. We see Dimitris, he's in Greece right now. It's midnight over there. And Nicolas, he is playing from St. Louis. I believe he's playing from his dorm. Yeah, kind of looks like one of the SLU dorms. We see c5 here by him. The computer doesn't quite like that move either. So let's see how Dimitris is going to try to take advantage of that. I mean, I think a win here for Dimitris could go a long way for an Athens comeback.
Absolutely. And if you have more space here, if you are the black pieces, generally, should you go for the queen trade? Is it different in this position?
I like the fact that he's keeping the pieces on the board. Yeah, I think, yeah, if you have more space, like you were saying, you want to keep as many pieces as possible on the board as you have more room for your pieces, right? Whereas white is struggling a little bit. Black center is super strong, super solid here. King h8, a nice move to step out of this diagonal. And yeah, white is trying to reroute the knight with knight c2, but I don't really see where it's going. And we see b7, b6, a nice move by black to try to chip away at the only space advantage white had on the queen side.
And also that queen looks a little bit stuck in b3 here. I don't know if it'd be a good move in this position, but you almost wish you could push b4 just to get something there, but I'm not sure the best response here.
I don't know either, yeah. And another plan for black is to go bishop a6 to c4 to harass that queen on b3. Like I said, the queen is a little bit stuck there. It could easily get trapped. Maybe Nicolas could consider bishop e3 to not concede that c5 pawn too easily, but overall, I really like Dimitris' position, so not a great start to this game for Nicolas. Let's see if he can fight back later on.
Absolutely. Anything can happen, especially as the time starts ticking down. Although it does seem like Nicolosi does not have the time advantage at the moment, although it's pretty close. But we have seen time decide some of these matches already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the time definitely is a big factor in Blitz. I mean, you definitely want to try to be up on the clock. You don't want to be behind by too far, because then, yeah, if you're low on time, you can easily make mistakes. So it's not looking good for Nicolosi. He's behind on the clock. Position on the board is not looking great either. So let's see how Dimitris will try to increase the pressure.
Absolutely. And for you guys who don't know, the format is 5+2. So it is a blitz format, although they do have an increment, which is very helpful in these time scrambles. Although you don't want to get too low on time because you might find yourself blundering, which is why we see actually some very, very good time management from our players so far. There hasn't been a lot of time trouble addicts.
Mm-hmm. Right, so let's have a look at bird's eye view as all the games are underway. One game that is catching my attention is Robby Kevlishvili's game. It looks like he has just won the exchange, and I don't think black is quite enough. So Robby, it seems like he's steadying the ship. He's also up 2 minutes on the clock. So it looks like he's doing some good stuff over there. Shelev, he started the match great. He won 2 games, but right now it looks like he is in a bit of trouble. His king on c8 is feeling quite airy. And in Batsurin's game, all of the pieces are still on the board. So there pretty much anything can happen. But I think overall, Athens could definitely be looking at a comeback here, as they're doing pretty well on the board in the top left-hand corner, the bottom left-hand corner, and in the bottom right-hand corner.
The game with Shelev looks very interesting. It might be a good one to check out. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that'd be a great game to check out. Let's go there. Yeah, so Shelev's king is feeling quite airy as there we have it. Yeah, so the king on c8 is feeling quite airy. If you take twice on d4, white's going to slide a rook to c1. Also, by the way, you're going to hang the pawn on f7. And look at the clock. Shelev is down 2 minutes. So I don't like his chances here at all. He goes bishop d6. Let's see what white's going to do here. It feels like there's got to be something, although I don't quite see an immediate knockout.
Right. And so should that rook move immediately to the c file? Can it prep a little bit? Do you have to deal with that bishop first? What do you think is the best way to attack? Sometimes the hardest positions for me personally are those attacks where you're not really sure where your knockout blow is.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's also what Vasilius is experiencing right here. He knows, hey, I've built up a good position. Everything is looking good, but I don't quite see that knockout. A tricky move here would be something like queen d5 to try to dive into the a8 square, but I guess black just has king b8 to cover that. You could take on d6 and take an f7 as well. Taking a pawn is rarely a bad idea. So he's pondering his options right now. Again, I don't see a knockout punch here, and I think that's why he's spending a bit of time. So let's see what he's going to do. If Shelev could survive here, that'd be big for the St. Louis team.
What about a4? Do you think it's too slow? Oh, okay. There we go. Apparently
Well,
it
yeah,
is
there we
a
have it.
mistake, and it is also my mistake as well. We see a4 on the board, but it seems to make sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. He wants to go a5, chip away that b6 pawn. Probably a little bit slow as some of his advantage disappear, but it's still looking quite pleasant for white. Queen takes d4. Maybe you just continue with your plan with a5. You can also take the pawn at f7. So let's see what he's going to do. I mean, white's king is sitting very safe on that g1 square, whereas black's king, especially if the a file opens up, it's just always going to be in trouble. So I think it's a nice practical approach.
Yeah, and just continuing with his plan, a5 makes a lot of sense. It seems kind of difficult to defend, but he's trying. We've got a king b7 there. Takes.
b6.
And then you get that pawn with check.
I don't like this position at all for Shelev. This king is just wide open, and white hasn't even sacrificed any material. I mean, if you go rook d7, maybe just queen a2, trying to infiltrate it through the a file. I think this is going to be a point for the Athens team. So, yeah, let's see. Maybe queen c4 now, hitting the pawn on e4, also threatening queen a6, queen takes f6. Also looking very good. He's up a pawn now, and Black's king is feeling super weak. So great chances here for Vasilios.
Also, look at that time difference. That is a huge time difference of almost 2 minutes. Do you think that will make it even more difficult for Shelev here trying to defend this position?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if the time situation was flipped, maybe he had a chance to survive. But yeah, especially with the time, it's looking really tough for him. And yeah, I mean, the St. Louis team cannot ask Shelev to carry every round. So, I mean, it's natural that as the board 4, he's also going to lose a game here or there. So let's see how Vasilios will try to finish this off. I mean, this looks so tough with Black's king so super exposed. Maybe you just take over here, and you can recapture. I mean, you can't really recapture the rook because that's going to hang the pawn on e4.
Right, and he has had almost a perfect score, maybe even a perfect score so far in these games, so he's been doing amazingly. This seems to be a little bit of a tough game, but he's still trying. He's not giving up in this position, and as we've seen, difficult positions can end in draws, although I'm not sure this one will. This looks like kind of the knockout blow is coming soon. What do you think? Do we believe in miracles, then?
I believe in miracles, but not in this game. I mean, he's down more than a minute
It's
on
too
the
late.
clock. He's down a pawn, and his king is super exposed. So I think Vasilios, I mean, he is an FM. I think he's going to finish this off. It would be a miracle if Shelev saves this one, but I don't see it happening.
Oh, and you just saw his expression, that move of his hand. He shook his head, rubbed his forehead. He is stressed. He sees this position is difficult. And it happens. It can be a little bit depressing almost to have to play out some of these positions as well, just trying to find these defenses that don't exist.
Exactly. But yeah, nobody's ever won a game by resigning. So, you got to fight on e3. He's trying to open up the white king a little bit, but I feel like both rook takes and pawn takes look good enough. Okay, at least right now, Black is never getting checkmated, but the queen endgame is still looking really tough as he's down 2 pawns. I mean, these g pawns are not the prettiest pawns, so maybe there's still a... Nah, but you just start pushing the e pawn, so I don't really see it happening, but you never know.
Anything can happen. And maybe we should go to another board here or to bird's eye view because I see a bunch of things happening on some of the other boards. And especially a time scramble there.
Yeah, a time scramble in the game by Nicolosi and Alexakis. Perhaps we could have a look at that game as things are really heating up over there. Both players are super low on time. Where is it? Oh, it's here. So Nicolosi was in some trouble earlier, but now he's up the exchange, and the knight on e5 is going to have to move, and then everything is going to drop. So I think Nicolosi is turning this game around. I think you can take, yeah.
Just taking
Rook
the
c7,
pawn,
that's
playing
game
very
over.
cleanly.
Yeah, that's it. The knight's going to drop. So that's a big win for St. Louis. Nicolosi was in some trouble earlier, but he gets the win here and pushes the St. Louis team further ahead. Let's go
And
back to
that is the
bird's
first
eye.
victory.
Yep, that's the first victory of this round. Things also looking great for Robby. He's only up 1 pawn, but his pawns are marching down the board. So this game is about to be over, and there we have it. St. Louis taking and in the meantime, Shelev resigned, so a win for Athens. So there's only 1 game remaining. Let's go to that one, the game of Batsurin.
So far it is for this round, 2-point SLU, 1-point Athens. Robby Kevlishvili, after some tough rounds, has come back with a win, turning it around. And this looks like this might be SLU's round. Let's see how this game goes. Although, if you look at it, it looks like GM Batsurin is in a little bit of trouble here. What do you think, Ben, of this position?
Yeah, it looks like he's in trouble. He's down the exchange. He does have these pawns in the middle, but there goes his queen. So yeah, that's game over. All right, so an important win for Athens to stay in this match. It will be a 2-point deficit going into the final round. That's definitely a tall task to overcome, but not impossible.
It is a very tall task to overcome, but we have seen some interesting performances from this round. Robby Kevlishvili getting his first win of this match so far, turning the tide around, helping St. Louis draw this round, making sure that the Athens is not able to regain any of the points they've lost in previous rounds. So I think that's a pretty important result. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, no, definitely important for Robby to get on the scoreboard, and it's about to kind of interesting. If you look at the Athens team, their board 3 and 4 have really been carrying. Their first two boards did not score a single point yet. So let's see how they are going to do in the final round, where everyone is going to play their board. Board 1 is going to play board 1, board 2 is going to play board 2. We see that right here. Yeah, I think if Shelev can carry his good form into the final round, he has good chances as well, but he did just have that loss. I feel like St. Louis should pull through. I mean, they have GMs on the first 3 boards. Robby's having a tough opponent, but I feel like Nicolas and Batsurin, they are the heavy favorites in their game. So St. Louis is definitely still the heavy favorite going into the final round.
Absolutely. They are the heavy favorite going into the final round. But again, this has been a relatively close match, maybe in ways that we couldn't exactly imagine so far. But yes, absolutely. It almost seems like there's a board 1 curse going on here, Ben. That the board
Yeah.
1s are struggling a little bit in this match.
Right. In the meantime, we see a bit of an anti-Najdorf here with White going for f3 on move 6. Robby going for a very quick a5, a4 to push that knight from the b3 square, but it just jumps to d2. On board 2, by the way, we see an Italian game, so all of the pieces are going to stay on the board there as well. So some very exciting games here right at the beginning. And just letting all of the viewers know, the games are staggered, meaning that they start a little bit one after another. So we see board 3 has also just started, but Cern opening up with 1d4. But yeah, let's have a look at Robby's game. Bishop d8 is an interesting maneuver. He wants to trade off that passive dark square bishop for White's nice and active dark square bishop on e3.
Is there any way to really avoid that? Are you going to try to move your bishop? Well, I guess he's moving his king out of the way, so he has room to maneuver his bishop, correct?
Yeah, king h1 is a nice move, because now if you go bishop b6, White can take on b6 and then pick up the pawn on a4. So maybe Robby needs to make another move first, like knight bd7 or knight c6. But like you said, if the bishop lands on b6, you can always still move your own bishop to the g5 square. So a very interesting game here. The square on d5 is a little bit weak, but it's not always that easy to take advantage of that.
Right. And as we see our 2 board 1s facing against each other, anybody's game, that knight makes a lot of sense there in d5. I've seen that in a lot of Najdorf positions. Would you say this is pretty standard?
Yeah, it's pretty typical, because it's always annoying to deal with a knight on d4. You're not always very well equipped to actually capture it. You see Robby trying the same thing with the move knight to d4. White responding with b4, attacking the queen. So in case black takes en passant, I think he wants to recapture with the knight, attacking the queen and the knight. And then if black takes, recapture with the knight. If black takes, I think he wants to take with the pawn. And I guess after all of these traits, this endgame looks quite favorable for White, as you have a nice grip on the queen side.
And, en passant isn't forced, unfortunately. You know what they say, so I guess he still has free will on that move. But yeah, that's actually a very common misconception. I've heard a lot from my friends who don't really play chess as much. They keep thinking that en passant is forced, but it is not in this move. So, and in fact, we don't see the en passant even happening, which makes a lot of sense because that would be very bad.
They actually think en passant is forced. I thought it was just a meme. People think it's forced, but or are they just too tempted to do it?
They just have to. I think they actually think it's forced, or maybe they've been taking the memes a little bit too seriously there. Chess.com even has a little mark that comes up when someone en passants after in the game review, because people used to submit a lot of questions thinking it was a glitch with the site. They weren't sure what en passant was. They weren't sure why their pawns were disappearing like that. So I guess there's some misconceptions to iron out there with en passant.
Exactly, yeah. Or maybe they just think it's like always good, right? Maybe they don't necessarily think it's forward. Maybe they think like, oh, this has to be good. In the meantime, I quite like what Dimitris is doing. He's gaining a lot of space. Robby now trades off his bishop for the knight, asking White some tough questions. I mean, if you take with the c pawn, You're inviting rook c3 from black, so maybe that's something he's looking at. You can also take the e-pawn, but then maybe Robby is first to grab the e-file. Let's say rook e8 followed by rook to e3. So a very interesting game here. Perhaps we can have a look at bird's eye view again, as the Athens team is fighting. They're behind by 2 points. So let's see, they might have a slight edge on board 1. On board 2, I like their position as well in the Italian game. On board 3, they seem to be doing pretty well. So maybe it's again Shelev carrying St. Louis on board 4, as he's doing pretty well in his beloved Jobava London.
Jobava London again. Yeah, we've seen that opening once before here, and it does seem like the position looks very good there. It seems very aggressive. What do you think his main plan will be in that game?
Yeah, I think he's just going to develop the bishop from f1 to d3 and then push pawns on the king side like h5 and g6. I think that's the plan he's looking at, and in the meantime, it's not going to be as easy for black to do the same thing on the queen side. So I quite like Shelev's position. He's also up a minute on the clock. He must be feeling quite comfortable. I'd say, again, just go bishop d3, develop the bishop, and just push the pawns. I mean, that's how Jobava London players like to play. So this must all be right up his alley.
Absolutely. And would you recommend Jobava London as an opening for the viewers back home, or are you not quite a fan for yourself or anyone that you would give advice to?
It's not an opening I would personally play, but I think you could consider adding it to your repertoire, as it definitely has some venom to it, and it could give you nice attacking positions. So yeah, it's definitely something for the viewers to check out. In the meantime, I don't quite like Robby's position, as white is grabbing a lot of space on the king side. So Robby potentially in some trouble here.
Yeah, and it seems like Demetrius took towards the center. You said that was a difficult decision, so he seems to have made his choice. Do you think it was the correct one? Is it still jury's out?
I think it was the correct one. I mean, it seems like he's having a nice position right now. The knight on d7 is completely restricted. It cannot go to c5, cannot go to e5. Queen takes c4, white throwing the h7 pawn, so knight f8 was forced. But maybe now you bring the knight back into the game with like knight d2. Overall, this looks really tough for black. So let's see if Robby can hang on here. Again, a win here would go a long way for an Athens comeback. So let's see if Demetrius can do it.
Yeah, we'll see if he can do it. They need to make up 2 points as well. They were behind from last round, 2 points. It is a tall task. It's going to be very difficult, especially in round 4. They pretty much need some big upsets. Do you think that they can do it? Do you think it's going to be too tall of a task for Athens here? I know you're a bit biased, Ben, but based on the positions, what do you think is gonna happen there?
I think they definitely have a chance. I mean, in this game, Dimitris is having a nice advantage. They're also having a nice advantage on board 2. That being said, St. Louis seems to be doing pretty well on board 4 and on board 3 as well. So if they would win those 2 games, or only if they would get 1.5 points in those 2 games, the match would be over. So I think it's going to be a little bit too much to ask, but it's definitely not impossible.
And Athens is doing very well against the frontrunners. For you guys who don't know, SLU has won so many seasons of this Collegiate Chess League. They're a very, very strong team, one of the most difficult to face up for your first match. Athens is also incredibly strong, has done very well in the past, and it seems they're continuing that trend in this match in which they're holding on. It is the last round, so it'll be difficult, but maybe someone in chat still has faith they can make up those 2 points. We will see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so h5 here by Alexakis, grabbing a lot of space on the king side. Perhaps we can have a look at bird's eye view again to see what's happening in the match overall. So we see Robby. He's still worse, but perhaps not as much anymore. But it seems like Batsurin is doing great on board 3. And things are also looking great for Shelev on board 4. Again, if St. Louis gets 2 wins in those 2 games, the match will be over. So Athens currently is with their back against the wall.
Yeah, Athens is with their back against the wall. They need to come up with some crazy tactics, some crazy moves. We've seen it happen before, though. I have seen games happen like that before, but I agree what you're saying. These positions do not look like they're favoring that as well. But I don't know. Do you think this is a strong start for SLU? Do you think they haven't played their best this match? What's your general thoughts behind that?
Yeah, I feel like St. Louis can definitely still do better. I mean, we saw Robbie struggling in the first couple of rounds. I mean, if he finds his form, then the St. Louis team is going to be even tougher to face. So yeah, I think they can do better than this. That being said, though, Shelov was doing very well. The question is if he can bring this kind of performance to every week. Um, but yeah, let's see what's going to happen. The match is still not over. You know, maybe if Athens can save those positions on board 3 and 4, there's maybe still a chance of a comeback. But yeah, things are looking tough right now.
Absolutely, things are looking tough. Seems like these games are very sharp as well. I'm noticing Shelov bobbing his head there when he's winning. I didn't see him bobbing his head when he lost that one game, so it's kind of interesting. Maybe when he's feeling it, when he sees the position is going in his favor, he hears the music, gets
Exactly.
into the
Yeah.
groove.
Yeah.
Do you hear songs in your head when you're playing?
Maybe occasionally, but it's rare. All right. So let's see. Is there a game that stands out to you that you wanna go to? Perhaps we can go to board 2 between Konstantinos and Nicolosi.
Yeah, that looks great. Interesting game.
Right. Okay. So this started off as an Italian. A lot of pieces still on the board. But Konstantinos, he has 0 points so far in this match. Let's see if he can get a first win right here against Nicolosi. He's doing better both on the clock and on the board. Black's king feeling a little bit exposed over here, and c4. I quite like that move, hitting the pawn and defending the pawn on a5. So Nicolosi in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, it does look like the position is very difficult here. That king looks kind of exposed on h8. I know there are a lot of pieces surrounding it, but do you think that king security is gonna turn up to bite him a little bit later on in this game?
No, I think for sure, yeah, especially with the clock situation. I mean, if you have a weak king and you're low on time, that's a tough recipe to deal with. But it's not over. I mean, he's trying to create some counterplay with his knight jumping into h3 or maybe f3. And Konstantinos now also only has 20 seconds on his clock. So let's see if Nicolosi can create a comeback here.
Yeah, absolutely. With this time pressure, anything can happen. We've seen the eval bars swinging in almost every one of these time scramble situations. Less than 10 seconds, almost under 10 seconds. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in this still lively position.
Queen e6 defending the pawn on g4. Yeah, I guess the pawn on a4 is going to drop now. Then there's queen x d4, so maybe that's why rook a6 was played. Rook b1, threatening rook. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, you said it earlier. Black's king is super weak, and with a little time on the clock, that's just so difficult to deal with.
And that just seemed like a very natural move to plug up some of that weaknesses, but I don't know, you're creating your own weaknesses there with that pawn.
In the meantime, Batsurn won his game on board 3, so that's a big win for St. Louis, at least guaranteeing a tie. So yeah, Athens is going to have to win the rest of the games, which is a very tall task. Oh, there goes the d3 pawn, but h4, the black king is still very exposed, so there's still chances for Athens to get a win here.
Yeah, it's a very tall task, but it does seem like this game might be going in Athens' favor, although it is too soon to tell. What is your prediction here in this game, chat and Ben? What do you think's going to happen?
I think he'll win. But if Shelov wins on board 4, the match is over. And Shelov, it seems like he's doing it. He is in a
Yeah.
rook and pawning game, picking up a lot of pawns. In the meantime, Nicolosi might save this game as well. So yeah, if this game ends in a draw, then the match is completely over. And I don't think there's anything for
That
white.
looks like a very good technique. Yeah.
Just move the king back and forth, and I think white's going to have to settle for a perpetual. Oh.
And there we go, yeah. I think we're going to see that result on the board shortly. Although it looks like maybe they're still fighting it out a little bit, but yeah, that will end in a draw. And either way, it seems that Shelev is about to win his game as well, which would put SLU as the winners of this match. Although very close against Athens, SLU has been doing very well.
Yeah, I'm seeing
But
Shelev.
I guess it's too soon.
Right, I'm seeing Shelev in the corner of my eye, bobbing his head. Yeah, he's up 2 pawns in the king and pawn in game. He's completely winning. So he is about to clutch it for the St. Louis team. And that must feel amazing for him. Again, he's making his debut. He's the board 4 for St. Louis, but he's doing amazing. He is on 3. He's on 2 out of 3. It's about to be 3 out of 4. And there we have it, guaranteeing the win. And yeah, Shelev looks pretty excited about it.
He does look very happy. If you had to name an MVP of this match for each team, who do you think it would be?
Shelev. Yeah, no, he's been carrying. On the other hand, I guess Batsurin also has been scoring a lot of points. I wonder, because Batsurin also won this game, so I wonder if he went 4 out of 4 or like 3.5, or what his score has been.
It seems like the lower boards have been clutching it for both teams, actually, both Athens and SLU here. You know, board 1 curse was a thing for this match. We'll see if it continues on with the CCL. Hopefully I just didn't jinx it for the rest of the board 1s for the whole season, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Still lots of games, lots of matches to go in the season of CCL.
Mm-hmm. Right, so Kacharava won his game as well. So yeah, in the end, St. Louis wins with 10-6. Overall, it's been quite a convincing victory. And yeah, here we see the scorecard. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, Shelev really is the MVP of this match. I mean, as the board 4 going 3 out of 4 is amazing. So he really carried the St. Louis team here. But yeah, also Nicolosi and Batsurin overall did a pretty good job. They scored 3 points as well.
Right, and yeah, the board 3s, the board 4s have been doing very, very well. It's been a really interesting match. I think we've had some cool games, maybe even have some players back home who are gonna try out the Jobava London. So hopefully that works out well for them there. Mm-hmm. We're gonna head on to break, and we have some cool things to say to you. We have some cool matches to come up, so stay with us, stay tuned, and we'll be back soon. You have a few more days to cash in on September on Twitch. Get 30% off your sub and help make events like this possible. Plus unlock exclusive new emotes for every event and access to exclusive break time content during the show. Use !subscribe in chat now to level up.
Want more chess on the go? Check out all of our essential chess apps. Turn your phone into a chess clock. Learn with Dr. Wolf. Tackle new chess challenges. Entertain your kids with Chess Kid, and level up with fun and adventure. Download them all at Chess.com/apps.
Great time here,
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
You enjoy the commentary? We pulled you on the couch today. You finally got on the couch.
Nice cookie.
No, it's my cookie.
Anish, this is my cookie. I worked all week for it.
It's my cookie. I told you, right?
You did say you wanted it right before you got here.
I didn't hear about that, Danny.
You both want the cookie down?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, how are we gonna send
Okay,
it?
who's higher rated?
I didn't know you guys act so bad. It's such terrible acting.
Things you do for money, I mean.
Right, FIDE rating.
Who cares about the FIDE rating?
No one cares anymore, man.
Okay, let's settle this on the chessboard.
Let's go.
All right.
Okay, I just no. Okay, so that period, I needed money, guys. That period, I was desperate.
You're clearly not born to act.
I lost the semifinal of GCC, so I really need money at the time. I just heard the news. I have another challenge coming, and then Daddy, he offered me to make this video, and I was like, you know, how bad it's gonna be.
But that doesn't justify the bad acting.
Yeah, I know, it was terrible.
Like,
terrible.
My cookie? My
Yeah,
cookie?
no, okay, the script was amazing, but the acting just ruined everything.
Yeah, script also, right?
I'll set the clock.
Let's settle it on the clock, yeah, for a cookie.
Bro. Oh, you guys are gotta be kidding me. Switch colors, play again.
Again a draw, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that was a joke. How did you like the scripted though, Queen? We scripted the final combination. How did you like it? Cool, huh? Some nice touch, classy.
All right.
Just like the script, I think the combination.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, but the final
Let's go.
scene is really bad.
Let's go.
The happy ending, so-called.
Oh my God. You guys are hopeless. Okay, we're arm wrestling. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. Come on, Favi, we just did a bunch of push-ups. You guys, this is insane now. It's a cookie. We're taking it to Twitter.
Twitter battle?
Most likes wins.
It was rehearsed! It was rehearsed, okay? It was rehearsed.
So cringe.
I think it was the highlight of the video.
So cringe. It's extremely cringe.
Look at that chicken.
Look at that.
Can I please have a cookie?
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
You want it?
Awful. In my head it was better, you know? Awful. No, I told you.
Has Sopiko seen this? It's so cringe.
Okay.
I'm not doing.
No,
I'm not stooping this.
This is bad.
Or cookie.
This is bad.
I think we should watch this again, the video.
No, enough. No. Oh, can I please leave? So bad. That's why I have a Chess.com contract and you don't with it.
At what cost?
Looking to deck out your closet this fall, or a gift for that person who loves chess? We've got you covered in our all-new merch store. Literally. Never forget that it's always Chess O'Clock somewhere, with clocks in a brand new colorway. And keep your mouse speed on point with a classic green or bubblegum pink mouse pad. Oh, Middens wants to say something too. She says, check it all out at chess.com/shop. And yeah, you might want to do what Middens says. Looking to deck out your closet this fall, or a gift for that person who loves chess?
Welcome back, everyone. Did you know that Susquehanna is a fantastic place to work? Actually, earlier, we got a chance to catch up with Kimmy Liu, a chess enthusiast and Susquehanna employee, to really understand what it's like to work at a firm like Susquehanna. And then after this break, we're going to catch up.
My name is Kimberly Liu, and I'm the current president of Cornell Chess Club. I interned at SIG last summer because I noticed that their culture was very gaming-centric, and that is quite a unique take. I think SIG values the gaming aspect because you're able to make decisions under pressure. So pressure is definitely not a strange thing in chess. There's time pressure, there's pressure of spectators, so being able to just stay focused and make the best moves or best decisions that you can is honestly all that you can ask for. I grew up in Davis, California. I was 5 years old, and full story is that I was at an after-school daycare, and I saw another teacher coaching a student, and they happened to be picking up the knight. And at that time, I was a pretty avid horse gal, so I told my dad, and he recognized that it was a game of chess. He eventually learned like the basic rules to teach me, and from there, I kind of took it and ran with it. During the pandemic, obviously I had a lot of time on my hands and I was still very introverted, but I saw some of my good friends streaming. I was an avid community member, avid chatter or spammer, but then I realized, what if I was on the other side of the camera? So I eventually decided to give it a try on my very old 10-year MacBook Air, but this whole process was very invigorating and new and refreshing to me. A lot of my high school friends were very supportive. That was also giving me a lot of encouragement. I felt like I was just chatting to my friends from the very beginning. Coming from California, a lot of my friends were staying in California universities. I decided to go to the other side of the country, Cornell, which I didn't really have friends at, and I wanted to start anew and see what I can do just from the ground up. Previous years, I've noticed that there's not as much communication between a Cornell chess club and the local community chess club, and I kind of wanted to bridge that gap because it's so important to be just as intertwined with the community and contribute back. So that's why I decided to get more involved with our local Ithaca Chess Club. Oh, you're making this really tough for me. It's honestly one of the best decisions of my life because I'm meeting people from all walks of life, from students who are just starting out to people who have been playing chess for decades. And it's just such a heartwarming combination to see everyone playing chess together and sharing joy over this game.
We've got Virginia versus...
I was banned for foreplay without any reason.
I don't think foreplay means what you think it means.
I was trying to think of a chess word that was even closely related to that, and the best I could come up with was prophylaxis.
Chess.com appeal, not cheated, default, GPT 3.5, user, write to appeal message that I have not cheated on Chess.com, chat GPT, subject, appeal for fair play on Chess.com.
Oh my gosh.
Templated responses, are similar to me as templated chess games, right? Using engines, own up to the decisions you made or the mistakes you made. Give us a candid response. And, our team does read these messages and are pretty receptive to folks that are forthcoming. So, you basically told on yourself. That's what you did with the GPT response.
Or at least get better at copying and pasting and remove that it came from ChatGPT in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you said the quiet part out loud, basically, in the way you delivered that message. What are we doing? So, you gotta, again, do better.
Eat your with ketchup. Happy New Year, stupid Chess.com.
There are a few things we have to run with there. So first of all, you took the time to wrote that. You did that. We just got to acknowledge that you took the time to do that. So shout out to you. Secondly, I love the holiday spirit embedded in that. It did remind me of Home Alone and Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. That was the vibe it was on, but chess wise. And then, you did that. So, hopefully you're ringing in the new year, or you rang in the new year well. And 2024 has gone a little bit better than evidently 23 did on our site.
Looking for new ways to enjoy chess? Check out our schedule of Chess.com community events today. Mondays, play Rapid Opening Roulette and expand your opening repertoire with a new opening each month. Tuesdays, compete against other untitled players in Untitled Tuesday. Battle your way to the top in Arena Kings on Wednesdays. And finish the week off each Saturday with the blistering Community Bullet Brawl. all happening in the community club on Chess.com.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. This is 2024 Fall Season of Collegiate Chess League, brought to us by our sponsors, Susquehanna. We are so happy to be here. We just saw a crazy match. We have an interesting one up to come. What did you think, Ben? What did you think of last match?
Yeah, the last match was pretty interesting between St. Louis and Athens. Athens definitely gave St. Louis a good fight, but overall, I felt like St. Louis was just a better team with GMs on the first three boards. So that really just gave them the advantage after all. And but yeah, we have some more matches today, Jules.
Right, we have Mizzou versus Virginia here today, and Mizzou is arguably SLU's greatest competition this season, although Virginia is still also exceptionally strong. But it does seem like Mizzou might be the favorite. Let's talk a little bit about each of these players.
Yeah, Mizzou should definitely be the favorite going into this matchup. They have GMs on the first two boards, Antipov and Raya. Also, their board 3 is an IM, but rated over 2500, and they have an IM on board 4. So, very strong team. And this is not even the strongest Mizzou team. I think what we just saw from St. Louis is their strongest team, or almost their strongest team. With Mizzou, they can come even stronger. They also have a new player. They have Aryan Tari, very strong grandmaster, over 2600, like 2640 or so. And they also have Luka Budisalvic. So I'm sure that when they enter the playoffs, they're gonna come with their best four. But yeah, what we're seeing here today is a very strong team, but not even their best team.
Wow, that is such a crazy lineup. But also anything can happen here. We have Virginia's FIDE master, Jason Moorfield, NM Ovid McCoy, NM Alex Traeger, and NM Jason Liu. So lots of NMs there, but as we've been seeing, our NMs have been doing really well so far. You really can't count out anyone based on having a slightly higher title. It's about the blitz ratings that are really mattering here, the blitz prowess. So with last match, we definitely saw some of the lower rated over the board people getting some surprising victories. Why do you think that is, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the board fours are, it could be two things. Maybe they're more motivated. They're like, oh, I'm the weakest player on the team. Like, this is my opportunity. I'm going to bring my A game to really show that I belong in this team. It could be that. But maybe they're also a little bit more relaxed, They're like, oh, nobody's really expecting too much from me. I'm the board four, and that might help them as well. So perhaps that could be a factor. I think Marta Garcia Martin is also a new player on the Mizzou team, so curious to see how she will do. But yeah, head coach Christian Karila, I don't know if he's around, but he's been doing a good job recruiting some new players. So we'll see how they will do.
And you said it, Mizzou is super strong this year. What was your experience playing against Mizzou last couple seasons? I know you have firsthand experience with this team. What did you think?
Yeah, they were always super tough. I mean, last couple seasons, they also had Grigori Oparin as their board one. I think he has left the Mizzou team, so they're not as strong anymore. Although, to be fair, they have Ariantari to replace Oparin, so still a very strong team. But yeah, definitely the matches against Mizzou and Webster were always the closest ones. So yeah, we'll see how Virginia is going to do. I think it's going to be a tough match for Virginia, especially given the fact that they're facing off against this strong Mizzou team.
Right, that is such a difficult first pairing to have. But sometimes maybe even starting out strong, facing one of the harder teams first, can set you up to have maybe everything else will feel a little bit more easy after that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, and we are off. So the first game I see underway is the game between Ishak Chan and Owen McCoy. I think Ishak Chan, also one of the recruits on the Mizzou team. He is a young IM from Turkey, I believe, and he's playing the exchange Rui Lopez here with the white pieces on the top right-hand corner.
Right, and would you say that you're not a Roy player, are you, Ben?
No, I mean, growing up, I always was an E4 player, but in recent years, I've switched more to 1D4. But when I did play the Rui Lopez, I can't recall like a single time I actually went for the exchange Rui Lopez, but it's a good opening, and it definitely puts black under pressure as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that it's very big and very contentious, this E4 versus D4 stuff. So I guess you're one of those living examples of someone who's changed their mind on that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So another game that's on our way is the game of their board one. Mikhail or Mike Antipov playing with the black pieces. He is going for the Accelerated Dragon, which is quite interesting because I think Antipov is working for Fabiano Caruana. And I've also seen Fabiano Caruana play the Accelerated Dragon from time to time. I think he won a great game with the black pieces against Nepo in the Singfield Cup. And he also played it against Ding Loren in the, the Olympia. That game ended in a very short draw. But here Antipov going for the very typical plan of a5, a4, gaining space on the queen side, giving his queen this nice square on a5. So very, very solid play here by Antipov, and usually black is very solid here and has very easy play. You go queen a5, then you go bishop e6, rook fc8, and then something like knight e7 afterwards. So the evil bar is giving white a slight advantage, but black has very easy moves here.
Right, and if I remember correctly, one of the main reasons people don't play the Accelerated Dragon is facing the Maroczy bind, but it doesn't seem like that's that much of an issue in this position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Maroczy bind is definitely the critical test of the Accelerated Dragon. But yeah, and perhaps white can also hope for a small advantage here, but yeah, black is just so super solid, and the moves are really easy. Yeah, so in bishop e6, knight e7, all pretty typical stuff. I guess now it's time to castle for white. And I guess it's a good thing that white is making the move queen a5 difficult, as that is going to hang the pawn on e7. Knight c5 played by Antipov, so let's see how this is going to continue. I feel like maybe he's going to have to prepare queen a5 with a move like rook e8 first to defend that pawn on e7.
And guys, if you have forgotten, the time control is 5 plus 2, 8.5 points wins a match. So this is a slightly longer time control than most of them are used to for Blitz, but it's nowhere close to Rapid. They still have to play fast. They have to keep their time up, which it seems the players are doing a good job of so far.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right, so let's perhaps have a look at bird's eye view again. We also have some other games underway. For example, the game between Raja and Alex Schrauger. Some more moves are being played here. But let's try to pull up a bird's eye view to see what's going on in the other games. If we can. Yeah, so let's go to Raja's game. So let me pull it up over here. All right, so very interesting position. Black is down a pawn, but Black has the bishop pair. That being said, his bishop on g7 is a little bit blocked in, so I don't know. I feel like Raja shouldn't have quite enough here, but let's see how he will try to fight on in this position.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. But that pawn structure, do you think that will become an issue?
Yeah, so let's see what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, I feel like the extra pawn definitely is a bit of an issue for Black. Also, this bishop on g7. So, but yeah, Raja is the better player. I mean, he's outrating his opponent by 500 points, which is a lot. So let's see how he will try to work his magic here. I mean, for the moment, White is having a tough time developing the queen side, because the moment you develop this bishop, you are going to hang the pawn on b2. So still anything can happen here.
Yeah, especially with that bishop pair. I don't know, it seems like that diagonal could become a little bit dangerous at some point. But do you think that there's a little bit of pressure when you're playing someone who's that much higher rated than you? Maybe the position can feel even tougher than it is?
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a factor where you start to maybe hesitate a little bit. You start to double, triple check your moves because you're like, oh, if I make a mistake, for sure my opponent's going to spot why it's bad. So yeah, let's see. I mean, perhaps that's also why White is spending a little bit of time. It's honestly not so easy to continue here. Again, if you develop that dark square bishop, you are going to hang the pawn on b2. He goes b3 instead. So maybe now is a good time for Raja to bring this bishop back to life. You have two ways of doing so. You can either go bishop f8 to c5 to reactivate it. You could also consider f6, but I quite like this move, queen d4, creating some problems for White, attacking the rook on a1, and I guess rook b1 now is forced.
Right, rook b1. And it seems like you're trying to solve your issues, but more just keep popping up, keeping a lot of pressure on. Maybe that's what grandmasters do best, is being able to keep on that pressure, making almost every position more difficult for their opponent. I don't know. It does seem like Alex is concentrating very hard right now, using up a lot of his time.
Yeah, so queen c3, nice move by Raja, hitting the pawn on c2. Let's go back to the bird's eye view, as now all the games are underway. Overall, things are looking pretty good for the Mizzou team, as it seems like Mikhail Antipov is having a nice position in the in the bottom right-hand corner, and Ishak is crushing it in the top right-hand corner. So overall, things are looking good. And Martha's game is now also underway. She is playing Virginia's board 1, James Moorfield.
Right, and if you guys forgot, these games are staggered, which is why we're seeing different times. It's all starting at different times, so we're able to see the games a little bit better. That game was the last one to start, so that one will be underway very soon. We'll start seeing some more action there.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Raja, by the way, has completely come back in his game. Things are looking pretty good for him in the top, in the bottom left-hand corner. Right now, he has the bishop pair, also past a pawn. So Black holding a lot of trumps in that game. So yeah, I think overall, I feel like Mizzou is going to put up a big score. The only board where I could potentially see Virginia winning is that board between Marta and Jason Moorfield, as Jason has a nice position and he's also way up on the clock.
Maybe we should take a look at that game and see how it goes.
Yeah, let's go to that game, as Marta's under quite a bit of pressure. We see Jason having some nice piece play here, as knight could jump into the d4 square any moment if Black takes on e3. If you recapture with the queen, you're going to hang the pawn on b2. Also, knight d4 is an annoying move. So let's see what he's going to do. But White definitely under some pressure, and also White having only 17 seconds on the clock.
How did that happen, Ben? How did she get into so much time pressure? I guess sometimes you really think about a position, time just ticks away. Getting under 10 seconds, could that decide the game?
It definitely could. I mean, the pressure here on the clock, coupled with the pressure on the clock, could easily prove too much here. We see Jason going for some simplifications. White's going to have to recapture, and then maybe a rook could jump into d2. Ooh, but this is also a great move. The knight is headed to c5, where it will always put tremendous pressure on that pawn on a4. So yeah, this looks like too much. Rook d2, hitting f2 and c2. So I think James is going to win this game for the Virginia team.
You just end up taking some of that extra material. This is maybe one of the first games we've seen that is going to where there's such a huge time discrepancy. And I guess it's the first match as well, the first couple matches of the season. It means that these players are still getting used to this kind of unusual time format, which seems to be a little bit slower than Blitz, but quicker than Rapid.
Yeah, I mean, 5 minutes is definitely quite a bit of time. It's not like Title Tuesday again, which is 3+1. But still, it is a blitz game. You're going to have to play quickly. And if you don't, you could end up in a situation like this where you're having very little time and your opponent still has a lot. And yeah, that's why White is under a lot of pressure here. But Martha's fighting back. She's activating her rooks, rook d7, maybe rook f3. But it feels like this knight is always covering so many squares. And again, Jason still has so much time that I think he's just going to bring home the point here.
And also when you're under time pressure, having those tricky knights can be especially difficult.
Yeah, so knight f4, he's sacrificing the pawn on b7, but I guess now rook b4. Oh, 92, that's a fork. So, yep, Jason wins the first game for Virginia. Let's go back to bird's eye view as this round is underway. And I liked Antipov's position earlier, but I wonder if he can actually win this endgame. It looks pretty drawish to me in the... Oh, computer did not like that move. But anyway, it looks pretty drawish in the bottom right-hand corner. Jason Liu definitely has chances for a draw. In the meantime, Isaac John is just crushing it on board number 3. Those passed pawns are just marching down the board. That's going to be a win for Mizzou. And Raya is struggling. I don't think he's going to win that game. So Virginia is fighting in the very first round.
Yeah, and they even got the first win of their match, which, there's still a lot of games to go, but that could be a little bit of motivation for the team. I know that they probably all prepared themselves for a very tough match and they're going to get it. So, I mean, having that first win is pretty important.
Exactly, yeah. No, like I said, I mean, first of all, of course, you want to get on the scoreboard, but second of all, for the confidence of the team, it's definitely nice. But yeah, Ishak, again, he's just crushing it on board number 3. Those pawns are marching down the board pretty much, yeah, bishop d6 followed by e7. And yeah, that's going to be a win pretty soon on the top right-hand corner. Black's still playing some moves, but it's going to be checkmate soon.
Maybe the bottom left-hand corner might be an interesting one to check out, the game between Raj and Alex there. Seems like some action is happening.
Oh, wait, I think both players just blundered. White might have missed a win there, but Raja's still in some trouble. That e-pawn looks very scary. So let's see if Raja can hold. But overall, it's not at all easy for the Mizzou team. I mean, Virginia came out of play. Oh, wait. wait, I thought like Ishak was about to checkmate his opponent, but he didn't. Like, he waited for a minute and then just pushed his pawn instead of giving checkmate in one.
Sometimes you miss checkmate in one. When you have mate in one, look for better. Isn't that what they always say?
Oh yeah. All right. Anyway, let's go to Raja's game. Wait, he's in trouble. How do you stop this e-pawn? I don't see it. I think Raja is just lost here. E7. Yep. And he is down a bishop now.
Whoa.
Wow. Who would have thought that?
That is a huge upset if Virginia can pull this off. Wow.
Right. Yeah. So let's
we
see.
were talking about, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. If Virginia would win this game, they would potentially tie the first round, as it looks like Antipov is winning on board number 4. But yeah, there goes the a-pawn. I think this is just over. I mean, Raja needs a miracle here. I don't see it happening. I mean, maybe White's feeling a little bit nervous as he's about to be the GM, but being up a bishop and a pawn is a lot. So, and there we have it. So amazing result.
Wow.
And look at
Look at
Alex.
his
He
face.
definitely, yeah. He was
He did
definitely
like the
happy with
same
that one.
bopping thing we saw before, you know? He's like celebrating. This is a huge victory for him, you know, fluffing up his hair, looking in the camera. This must feel great. Just a huge victory and one that's very well needed as well for
Mhm.
Virginia. What great momentum for that team, for the underdogs so far.
Yeah, no, great stuff for Alex. We definitely saw a bit of a fist bump there as he got the win. And we just missed the ending of the final game, but Antipov did win his game. So we're looking at a 2-2 tie. I definitely did not expect that, but great result for Virginia. Let's see if they can continue that in the next round.
Wow. It has been a crazy, crazy match so far. 2-2 tie with the underdog managing to tie one of the frontrunners of the season, Missouri. We have a bunch of kind of insane results going on here, some upsets as well. I think definitely the MVP of this round would have to be Alex there, which we saw just kind of this crazy game as well. I mean, what a start. Do you think this is going to be prophetic for the rest of this match?
I think that eventually Raja is going to ride the ship. I mean, he's a GM, he's a good blitz player. And for Alex, of course, it would be amazing for him if he can continue this momentum, but I'd be surprised if he can. I mean, right now he's playing Antipov. So let's see. Of course, anything can happen, but Antipov, very strong, experienced Grandmaster. And as we speak, we are already off in game number 2. We see Jason playing the 2 knights attack against Ishak Chan's Karakan. And right now, Ishak is thinking, but he continues with the move e7, e6. Pretty typical stuff. White having the bishop pair here, but black being so super solid. That's just always the case in the Karakan.
Right, and maybe we're seeing a more exciting version of the Caro than we saw before. You were kind of talking a little bit against the exchange Caro. Do you think this will create sharper positions?
No, this is also pretty
No, not
dry.
at all.
And just like slow maneuvering. Yeah, like black usually goes like bishop c5 or something to stop white from going d4. I mean, these positions are interesting, but I wouldn't say sharp, you know, because again, we'll see slow maneuvering here. I guess that's what we can expect.
Very exciting, slow maneuvering. I think sometimes grandmasters are the only one who finds slow maneuvering exciting, but also we've seen players deviate from theory pretty early on. I don't know. I still have faith for this Caro. And that is a
Right.
kind of odd move, no?
Yeah, I mean, d4 is a bit of a double-edged sword. On one hand, you gain more space, you push the knight back and went to the b1 square. But it also gives white a bit of more of a free hand in the center and on the king side potentially. So we see knight d7. What black often tries to do here is play on these dark squares with knight d5 or bishop d6. G3 here played by white. Sometimes what they do in these positions is go like h5 followed by h4. Again, trying to carve out some dark squares, but knight gf6 was played by Ishak.
Right, and this position, I guess maybe you are getting your more positional maneuvering type of position. These are two very, very strong players. I am against FM. So maybe we'll see one of those games with a little bit more subtleties. What do you think? Or because it splits, do you think it will kind of devolve into something chaotic?
I think eventually it definitely could. Oh wow, rook g8. That's an interesting move. I guess he wants to go for g5, because I guess white said he has to go queen g2 to prepare the f4 push. So black wants to go g5 to stop that. And again, black is just playing on these dark squares a little bit. It's a very interesting strategy here by Ishak. So we'll see how all of this is gonna continue. And perhaps we can have a quick look at the bird's eye view, as right now all of the games are underway, to see what is going on. We saw that Raja lost his first game with the black pieces, but right now he's playing very aggressively right out of the gate. Knight g5 hitting the f7 point, with black just playing knight h6 to defend it. But yeah, overall, I quite like what Raja is doing. Right now he's playing pretty aggressively, so let's see how he will continue his attack.
This was a modern, correct?
Yep.
Right, and I've seen a lot, usually instead of letting that knight get onto onto that g5 square. A lot of times they try to trade off the knight with the bishop beforehand. Would you say that that would be the better move, or is this also fine? What do you think in this kind of position, allowing that knight
Yeah, no,
onto g5?
yeah, you make a very good point. I think often it is a good idea to stop white from getting the knight at g5 altogether, as it's very difficult to push away. But overall, I think Jason is doing a pretty fine job. Knight c6 was a nice move with the idea to go knight e5, so that's why Raja played pawn to f4. So I guess Raja is going to go for queenside castling. Let's see what Jason is going to do. I mean, you could maybe go kingside castles, although that's always going to invite an attack from white. I feel like eventually you want to go knight g4, but for the moment you can't, as you're going to hang the pawn on f7. So I'm curious to see how he's going to solve that problem.
Yeah, I was looking at that move f4 there, and immediately that knight g4 jumped to my mind, because usually I've seen like f3, something to prevent that. Maybe will that be a more long-term issue, or is the momentum enough in white's favor where we're not really going to see that?
Who knows? But one game that is standing out to me is the game in the top left-hand corner. I think Isaac just blundered. Right now, white just played knight to b3, attacking the queen on d4. And if the queen moves, you have d3, d4, attacking the knight. And if the knight moves, you have pawn to e5. Let's pull it up. Yeah, the queen is under attack. If you move, white can go d4, attacking the knight moves, and then e5, creating a fork on the knight and the bishop. So I think Ishak is in a world of trouble. So let's see if Jason can go 2 out of 2. I mean, he's the board 1 on the Virginia team. If Virginia wants to have a chance, he really needs to carry.
And we said this would be a slow positional game, and here we go. We're getting our aggressive tactics, just showing anything can happen in these blitz games, even against super strong players. Okay, so you have to. That's kind of an interesting move. What do you think is the play behind that move?
Yeah, so the idea is that in case white takes your capture with a pawn, attacking the queen on g2. But I guess white has a few good options. Taking on a4 looks good, followed by taking the bishop. And white has the extra piece. So yeah, looks like Jason is, again, doing a great job trying to carry his team, maybe like queen f3, but Ishak is fighting on. I mean, he still has chances here. He has some chance against the white king. Maybe he can regain this pawn on d6. So this game is not over yet.
Right. I think everyone's lost a game down a piece, or maybe that's just what we tell ourselves to cope a little bit. But sometimes it's difficult to convert these, even when you're a piece up.
Exactly, yeah, because in your mind you've already you're playing a winning game. You only still have to win it. So it's a little bit annoying at times. So yeah, let's see what Ishak is gonna do here. He goes oh, that's a tricky move. If you take the pawn, there's rook takes g3, as the rook cannot be captured due to this pin. So that's his idea. Let's see what Jason is gonna do about it. Maybe just like king h1 or that to step out of the spin.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll fall for that tactic, but we've seen it happen before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like Jason is on his way to victory here. I don't see any compensation for black. White's up a piece. So yeah, Jason continues to carry the team, but he's gonna need some help from his teammates. Let's go back to bird's eye view to see what's going on in the other games. I feel like in the other games, Mizzou is doing a pretty good job.
Right, we see Marta Garcia with a really interesting position, better on time this game than last game. We're not seeing any crazy time scrambles from her just yet, and her position looks pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like her position. She has the bishop pair. The queen on e2 is feeling a little bit vulnerable. Also, by the way, in the bottom left-hand corner, Antipov is, just kind of doing what he's supposed to do. He's having a nice advantage here. He's having the 2 minor pieces against the rook, and the white pieces should coordinate perfectly. So I expect a win there for Mizzou. And in Raja's game is definitely the most interesting one, where we see a lot of tension. Raja going for an attack in the center. And maybe Jason can try to create some counterplay on the queen side. So maybe that's where Virginia can get another point in. But yeah, I feel like Antipov is going to win. Martha's doing well on the board, but again, she's falling a minute behind on the clock.
Yeah, so we see her thinking, taking her time, which was something that happened in the game before. It didn't work out too well for her. And yeah, it seems like the GM conqueror, Alex, will not take down his second GM there. Also, if you take a look at the poses of these players, they all look so focused. Jason Liu, head in hands, shaking head. I don't know. I don't know. It is an interesting game, though, that one between Raja.
Right, and Antipov just won his game. I think we just had a big miss by Raja. Maybe we can go to that game. I don't know what he missed, but he just played Queen to F5. If we can go back one move, I don't know why he did not play Queen G8 check. I guess he just did not see the move at all. Because if you see it, I don't know how you cannot play, because it's a check. You also take the bishop has to block, and then after like rook F1, this looks absolutely crushing. So missed opportunity there by Raja, but I still feel like he's gonna win this game because he has a lot more time. The position is very complicated, and Black's king is pretty weak, and knight c4 apparently is not it. So let's see what White should do here to punish Black.
It is interesting. It's actually a pretty difficult puzzle there. But yeah, it does seem like the position's getting very complicated, shaking his head. We even saw after he hung some of these tactics, he's made some like visible expressions towards the camera, knowing that his opponent cannot see him, but he's just been like shaking his head. I guess it's tough when you hang something and you're just like waiting and praying that your opponent doesn't see it.
Right. I mean, to be fair, in these online tournaments, you're always in a Zoom call with all the other players, so you could see the other players if you pull up their camera. And some players like to do that. Some players do not like to do that. To be honest, when I started playing these online tournaments, I always did it. Like I would always pull up my opponent's camera in like the top right hand corner. But now I don't do that anymore because I feel like it could only distract me, you know. And some players, they don't show like any faces whatsoever, where some they do, maybe to distract you or anything. So it depends. In the meantime, by the way, we have a move by Raja, and it looks like a good one. Queen f4 hitting the knight and the rook on h6. So I think he is about to get a win here. But Jules, things could be getting pretty close here. As I'm looking in the corner of my eye, I see that Marta is in trouble again, both on the clock and on the board.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and it seems like mostly a clock issue because her position before seemed pretty pleasant, like fairly doable, and then all of a sudden she's down more than a minute on the clock. Is that maybe just a matter of form getting used to the time control, do you think?
Yeah, I think, just getting used to the time control. I don't know if she's playing a lot of online chess, that could also be a thing. So yeah, as we see here, right now the score is, right now it's tied as Jason wins his game, and I guess it's gonna continue to be tied as Raja is gonna win his game on board 4, but Marta just lost her game. So yeah, Virginia really giving a fight here to this strong Mizzou team. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, going into round 2 completely tied up, and their ratings are like, I don't know, probably an average of almost 300, 200 less than Mizzou. So an absolute underdog story in the making here, but they still have a long ways to go, Ben. They still have to keep up this crazy performance. And maybe as Marta gets more used to the clock, some of the players gather their footing, it will become more difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'll be very impressed if this Virginia team can keep this up also in the later rounds. But who knows? I mean, yeah, they've been doing an amazing job. They're 4-4 tied with this strong Mizzou team. So who knows? And Mizzou is gonna have to step it up in the second half.
Absolutely. Mizzou's going to have to put on their thinking caps, see what they can do. The players have had some really great performances, notably NM Alex is 1 out of 2 against 2 grandmasters. NM Jason Liu has a little bit to go with 0 out of 2, but so many strong performances from Virginia, a lot of strong performances from Missouri. We'll see if they're able to keep the score tied coming up soon.
right, and yeah, we just saw the player cards. All right, so let's see what's going to happen in the second half. But yeah, I think Mizzou is definitely the favorite. But yeah, I'd be super impressed with Virginia if they can keep it close.
Yeah, I will too. It would be such a crazy underdog story if they managed to win this match, but they still have a long ways ahead of them. But we'll see coming up on this break. Stay tuned. We're going to see more of Mizzou versus Virginia coming soon.
Okay.
Were you afraid with the whole country watching to feel embarrassed as well? Wonderful.
It's edited. I think it's edited.
Yeah, it's clearly.
But it's close to how it was, but it's a little bit edited. Yeah.
Not a little bit. It's completely edited.
No, but it really was like that. Yeah. Like the eval bar in Hikaru's videos. Yeah. Right. Edited. Edited afterwards by the editor. Not how it really happened. Afterwards, taken from somewhere else and placed in the middle. And then squeezed.
You know, before this, I thought I would be the one getting into trouble. Now I think it's you.
Lawyered. Okay.
As VD, I would play rook e8, bishop c3, queen h4, queen b2, queen h5, and then bishop e2, queen g5, bishop f1, bishop f7, h4.
Better than Hikaru's lines. Better than those lines that Hikaru rattles out.
Hikaru learned from somewhere.
Yeah, because Hikaru likes that thing.
Hikaru was in Norway. This was
yeah, but Hikaru's was like completely off. Like I checked it afterwards with the engine. The line makes no sense at all. Yeah, it makes no sense at all, that line.
I think only the head bob was missing here. Like Hikaru was doing this.
Ah, true. Wow.
That's a good one. We have to watch again.
No, this is a good one. Yeah.
It's a really good one.
Yeah. Some good editing there. Wow.
Nice.
Ooh, slick. Okay.
Nice.
Oof, awkward. Yeah, this whole thing is like.
But I think
it's embarrassing when you play candidates and you.
He does it on, like, you know, he knows the content game. So it's not like Hikaru doesn't know the spelling of Nepo.
True.
Mate is in 4 moves from the position in front of you. Don't move until you figure it out in your head. Don't look at me for a hint.
I can't do it without moving the pieces.
Yes, you can. Clear the lines of men in your head, one at a time, and the king will be left standing alone, like a guy on a street corner. I'll make it easier for you.
What was that about?
I thought it would help.
How does that help?
You know, visualization and stuff.
I'm not picking up the pieces.
Sometimes you don't need to do anything crazy to get better. You just need to reassess your chess. I'm Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, and I'm presenting Jeremy Silman's How to Reassess Your Chess now on Chessable. So go to chessable.com/yourchess and start reassessing your chess today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 2024 Collegiate Chess. This is presented by Susquehanna. We are so excited to be here. Round 3, Mizzou versus Virginia. And this is kind of a crazy upset so far. It's seed 1 versus, I think, seed 8. Isn't that right, Ben? What, like, an insane score so far.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought? You said it. It's seed 1 against seed 8. Mizzou, the favorites of this season, playing against Virginia, the underdogs, but they're doing amazing. I mean, right now it's all tied. Really, their board 1, Jason Moorfield, has been carrying. And also on the other boards, they have been managing to score 1 upset every round. So it's tied. Again, I'd be very impressed if Virginia is able to keep it up in the later rounds. I feel like eventually Mizzou should pull through, given the fact they have GMs on the first 2 boards. They also have a strong IM. They have 2 strong IMs. But let's see. I mean, some players are still struggling to find their footing. So yeah, let's see what's going to happen in the second half.
I think I'm going to be the optimistic commentator and say I think I'm going to put my money on Virginia's going to hold it. But I know that's controversial. But now we have one on each opinion. If anyone in chat has a different opinion there, I don't know. We'll see what happens. The games are starting.
Right. And yeah, the first game to get underway is the game of Virginia's board 1, Jason Moorfield. He's been carrying the team again as the board 1. I think he kind of knows his task, that he almost has to go 4 out of 4, or at least like 3.5. But he's up against Raja, strong player on the Mizzou team. And they started out as a classical Sicilian, but Raja going for a bit of a sideline with placing the queen on d3. Usually the players place their queen on d2. And Jason is the first one to think.
And what do you think the ramifications of this slightly different placement of the queen is?
Good question. I mean, he might have some ideas of maybe breaking in the center with e5 or shifting the queen over to d3 or to g3. h6, interesting move by Jason, asking white what he wants to do with that bishop. You can go either to h4 or to f4 to hit the pawn. It would provoke d5 from black. And now Raja is thinking as well. So both players out of book. So let's see what's going to happen. Also, by the way, Antipov has started his game. He's sticking to his beloved Italian. I mean, yeah, he plays that a lot. And we see Martha going for a very interesting approach. She is playing the modern defense against Alex. Alex, he was one of the players who managed to create an upset. He beat Raja in round number 1.
Right. He is 1 out of 2 against 2 grandmasters so far. So he's been playing very well. We'll see if he can keep it up. Marta's also been playing very well, but she's been getting under some time pressure, although this is her 3rd round, so maybe that time is going to get a little easier for her to manage.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. And Ijek, he lost that game to Jason, but he's sticking to the same approach in a Caro-Kann with a quick d4 push followed by bishop d6. So we'll see how that's going to continue. Raja did move. He moved his bishop to the h4 square. And Antipov, I like what he's doing in the Italian. He is grabbing some space quickly on the queen side with a quick a4, a5. So let's see what's going to happen there. I mean, he's got a lot of experience in all of these Italian positions, so I think he'll know how to handle this one.
Right, and it might be a little intimidating also to play against someone who's played certain positions for a very long time. Do you think that could affect his opponent? Or maybe his opponent isn't aware of his experience?
Yeah, let's actually pull up that game, the game between Antipov and Owen McCoy. Antipov, he is actually one of Caruana's second. So not only does Antipov have a lot of experience playing these positions himself and preparing these positions for his own games, he also has a lot of experience preparing these positions for Fabiano's games. And that's why, he knows them pretty well. Knight e8, interesting move by black. I guess that knight is headed to e6. And I guess white can go knight e3, aiming to go to d5. And I'm curious to see what black is going to do about it. Black could either go c7, c6 to stop that knight jump. He could also go knight f4. So that's why we see both players taking some time. But generally speaking, I feel like white has nice chances for an advantage here, as his bishop on g7 is a little bit passive. White has more space on the queen side. But yeah, all of the pieces are still on the board, so we definitely have a rich game ahead of ourselves here.
Right, and we see that c6 right away. Also, maybe eventually, when is the right time to open that center, if ever, if you're playing with the black pieces here? I know that your bishop's a little bit trapped. Do you want to blast it open, or do you want to keep it closed?
I like the idea. Maybe a nice idea here is to go castles, get your king to safety, then go king h7, and then f5. But he goes knight e6, also a nice move, aiming to go knight c5 potentially. Then I can go to g5 as well in some cases. We see queen e1 by Antipov. And I guess sooner or later you should castle here. So let's see if that's what Owen is going to do, or if he's going to continue to delay that move.
Yeah, we will see. He seems to be playing very well so far. Not really intimidated by the Italian, but perhaps he should be, because it seems like, as you said, his opponent has plenty of experience in these positions. But it does look very sharp. And the bishop seems to be maneuvering, perhaps trying to get it to a more useful square. What do you think is the point behind that move? Maybe to give their own knight more room? I'm not sure.
I guess he didn't like this bishop, and maybe he wants to go bishop g5, but I don't like this move as much. I felt like just a natural castling followed by king h7 and a 5 looked pretty good to me. Anyway, we see bishop a2 here by Antipov. I guess he's aiming to go knight c4 to b6. That's why he cleared the c4 square. Overall, I like what Antipov is doing. He's up on the clock. I feel like he's got the advantage. And usually that is a good recipe for success. Perhaps we can go back to the bird's eye view to see what is going on the other boards. As one game that is really standing out to me is that game between Raja and Jason Moorfield. Again, Jason has been carrying the Virginia team. He's on 2 out of 2. Raja has sacrificed a pawn, I believe one. I think one. Or is it even 2? Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think he sacrificed 2 pawns. But he's getting a lot of compensation for it.
We always love seeing those pawn sacrifices kind of clearing the way. Yeah, the position looks a little bit uncomfortable for Jason there, and it seems by his expression and his body posture, he's feeling it as well.
Yeah, so let's pull up Raja's game. Yeah, bishop c3 was just played, hitting the pawn on e5. That looks uncomfortable to defend. I think, yeah, bishop g7. But that's going to run into queen b4. Queen b4 looks pretty tempting to... I guess there's still queen e7 to defend. Okay. All right, so then I wonder what Raja is going to do instead. You could also just continue your development with like bishop c4 or bishop b2. But a very double-edged game. I mean, white has a lot of piece play, but he is down 2 pawns. So if Jason is able to consolidate, that's definitely going to count for something in the endgame. And that's why Raja is taking his time here. He went for a risky opening approach. I mean, again, I'm sure he's got good compensation, but if you sacrifice the material, you're going to have to prove it.
Right, and can black just castle here and get to safety?
Yeah, I get... Oh, queen b4 played, but yeah, queen e7 out for Jason looks like a very nice response.
And if you get the queens off the board, then, you know, that I think black will be very happy with that pawn sacrifices.
Yeah, so Raja goes queen b6 quickly, threatening bishop b4. That's his idea. But I wonder if Jason just has the time to go pawn to c5. Wait, I guess, this is maybe Raja's idea. He wants to meet c5 with maybe check. Because after take, king f8, there's rook d7 perhaps? Or rook d7, is there bishop? Maybe there's bishop a6. Tagging the queen. Anyway, Raja... I think Raja's in trouble. He's down 2 pawns. I don't think he has enough compensation. And he's also down almost a minute on the clock. So Jason, the hero of the Virginia team, it looks like he might go 3 out of 3.
Well, you can't call it just yet, because these players do not have the valuations like we do. Sometimes to see whether these tactics work or not. Like, you don't know how the cookie's going to crumble here.
Right, but I mean, I don't see it for Raja. And if there's nothing, again, he is down. Okay, he goes bishop b5. Wow. All right, so take, king f8, rook b7. That is his idea. But what if black... Okay, king f8 only move. don't think. Just it's literally the only move. Rook d7 was pre-moved. If bishop c6 was played, Raja would have lost the game, but bishop a6 now? What is he planning after bishop a6? Because the queen's under attack. Queen c6, there's queen e8. I wonder if Raja simply miscalculated here. Bishop a6 on the board. Queen e8. Oh, wait, maybe there was rook c8. Maybe that would have been even better. But the fact remains that Raja is down a piece, and I don't think he has enough. King g8.
And here it's kind of a lot of pressure because you want to keep sacrificing. You want to make your sacrifice worth it. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's much that can be done. There isn't really an easy follow-up.
Right, so let's see what's going to happen. I mean, this game is definitely not over. Jason is having an extra piece, but his king is feeling a little bit airy on g8. The pawn on e5 is weak. White is having some very active pieces. So definitely still some chances for Raja, but objectively, I mean, I'm sure that both players must be aware that this cannot be good for White. But Jason also dropping below a minute here. Let's see how he's going to continue. But yeah, that would be another great result for the Virginia team to keep this match close.
Exactly, and it would bring Jason on the road to being MVP for Virginia this match if he's able to take home this third victory. But yeah, low on time in a complicated position. I don't know. Anything could happen. If chat has any predictions on who you think is going to win this match, it would be interesting to hear because, with the time dwindling down, it could get complicated.
It for sure could. I quite like this remaneuvering of the bishop. It's sitting quite safely on a g6 square, defending a lot of important points, also sheltering the king a little bit. Raja regained just another pawn, so he's fighting. So let's see what's going to happen. But overall, yeah, Jason is doing an amazing job. And perhaps as this game is heating up, we could go back to bird's eye view to see what is happening in the other games. Virginia really came out of play here. Because one game that's also perhaps looking a little bit scary for the Mizzou team potentially is, again, Marta's game. I think she's doing quite all right on the board, but she's got 16 seconds on her clock. So let's see how she will deal with the time pressure.
Yeah, she's had a tough luck with time pressure these games. It's also important to note there are 2 Jasons on Virginia's team, so we can't forget that. But yeah, looking at Marta's game there, with 7 seconds on the clock, they do get a 2-second increment, but will it be enough?
In the meantime, Antipov did win his game, so Mizzou takes the lead. But yeah, Jason could potentially tie it up here as he's up a bishop in his game against Raja. Both players have very little time, so it's definitely far from over. But yeah, an extra bishop is a lot. So I don't know. I don't know if Raja can fight back here. I think he's really it's looking tough for him. I don't see it happening, to be honest.
And for you guys who might have forgotten, the score is tied, and this is kind of a crazy result for Virginia so far because it is the first seed against the 8th. It would be a huge upset if they could manage to win this match, but it is far from over, although this round also looks like it might be pretty even.
Yeah, because it looks like Jason is going to win his game. He does have that extra piece. Just push the e-pawn now. That's what he's doing. Raja, again, he's fighting, setting that a-pawn in motion. This is far from over, but the extra piece is a lot. And Marta is lost now as her entire queenside is collapsing. And then Jason, if Jason wins his game on board 4 against Ishik, we could potentially see Virginia taking the lead here. Who would have thought that? And
wow,
Jason,
that would be insane.
All right, so Jason Moorfield wins his game against Raja. He evened up the score. And it looks like he's a little bit in disbelief himself there.
Although it's important to note that Alex is also getting in time trouble against Marta. So I don't know. She seems to be the one in a much worse position here, but anything could happen still. Anything could happen. Still looks like it might be a really nice round for Virginia.
Yeah, as right now he's setting that a-pawn and mushroom, rook a4. I think that's it. I mean, the moves really play themselves here, so I think Alex is going to win his game. Just a6, b4, b5, just push the pawn. b4. Okay, he's now bringing the king up. Yeah, this should be an easy win. And yeah, again, Ishik has to win on board 4. Oh, but he's lost. Wait, Virginia, I think they're
Against the
taking
other
the lead.
Jason. Oh, look at that. And the Jasons are pulling through. MVP Jasons this round. It might be too soon to call it, but no. And there we go. Jason Liu wins. And that's crazy. Virginia has taken the lead against the top seed. Would you have thought this would happen, Ben?
No, this is shocking. This is
That's
incredible what we're witnessing right now. Again, we're seeing the first seed against the 8th seed, and Virginia taking a 2-point lead going into the final round. I mean, it's definitely far from over. Mizzou is very capable of sweeping the final round, but if Virginia gets 1.5 points on the scoreboard, it's over. I mean, what an underdog story we're witnessing right now.
Oh, it is a crazy underdog story, and I know that Mizzou is really going to be bringing their all because they do not want to start this season with a loss like that. And Virginia, if they get this kind of momentum, I don't know, anything could happen.
Yeah, so let's see. But yeah, let's have a look at the scorecard here. Antipov, he is doing his job. You know, he's on 3 out of 3, but Raja and Ishik only on 1 point, and especially Marta is struggling as she is yet to score her first point in this match. So yeah, let's see what's going to happen in the final round. Maybe Marta can find her footing a little bit in the fourth and final game of this match. And yeah, perhaps Antipov, you know, the most experienced player, the strongest player on the Mizzou team, can he put a stop to Jason Moorfield, who has been in great shape? He's on 3 out of 3.
3 out of 3. That is a crazy performance. Of course, everyone wants the perfect 4 out of 4, but it's going to be very tough for Jason Moorfield against Antipov. And I guess we have to say his last name as well, because it's important to mention there is a second Jason on the team, Jason Liu, who also had a very important victory. The Jasons, someone in the chat said Jason's W, and they're kind of right there. The Jasons have been carrying for Virginia.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's see. So Antipov again going for his accelerated dragon with that quick a5, a4 push, gaining space on the queen side. Yeah, every Mizzou player now has to play for the win. We see also Raja's game has started, which started as a Reti opening. So let's see what is gonna happen. I mean, I think Mizzou definitely still has chances, but yeah, Marta also is gonna have to get on the scoreboard because if she loses again, then Virginia would only need another 0.5 point to win the match.
Yeah, that was a great round 3 for Virginia here. And I mean, we'll have to see if these losses will inspire Mizzou to really bring their all, because this is a very capable team. And you know what the interesting thing is, Ben, here? This team, Mizzou, did not even bring the strongest members that they had. This is still a very, very strong team, but they had some more secret weapons they could play. But I think they didn't think they needed to against the 8th seed.
Yeah, they probably thought like, oh, the first game of the season, we're playing the 8th seed. This team will do, and then later on we'll bring in Tari, we'll bring in Luca. But yeah, maybe it would prove to be a mistake as they're having a very tough matchup here with this Virginia team. Again, who would have thought? In the meantime, all of the games are underway. We see in the top right-hand corner, all of the pieces are on the board. Pretty symmetrical structure. In the bottom left-hand corner, also still a lot of pieces on the board. And Marta going for some very aggressive play here with a quick e5 push.
Yeah, and I mean, that might be what she needs. And sometimes, I don't know, when I feel like I've lost a lot of games in a row, I find myself being very aggressive at the board to try to get that quick win. Do you think that that's a trend, or maybe this aggressive approach is something that could help her out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, let's see how that's gonna go here for her. Yeah, I think she needs to shake off some of the, I mean, not necessarily rust, but just shake off some of the hesitation or whatever you want to call it. She just needs to, I mean, she's a strong player. She's an IM. She just needs to follow her instinct, play the moves, and just trust that things are going to be all right, because if you take too long and get into time pressure, that's when bad things can happen. And yeah, let's see how that will go for her in this game. I like what she's doing. She's playing quickly, she's playing aggressively, and that's usually a good recipe for success.
Right, she does seem to be fixing a lot of her time issues so far. Let's not jinx it in this game. Keeping a little bit up on time is a good strategy for her, and maybe we'll see her turn around, get on the scoreboard this game as well.
All right, so let's see what is going to happen. Still a lot of play left on boards 1 and 2. I like what Ishik is doing on board number 3. He's bringing a lot of pieces over to the king side where he can potentially start an attack. So, Jules, is there a game that stands out to you that you want to go to?
Maybe someone in chat said they were very interested in the Antipov Moorfield game, especially since Moorfield has been doing so well. It might be an interesting matchup to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to that game between Jason and Antipov. All right, so it started off with this Maroxy bind. White's still having some nice space here. There's knight on b5. It's going to be difficult to kick away. Now he goes b4. And the computer, hey, oh, wait, queen b3?
What?
Wait, that's
Queen
a blunder by
b3.
Antipov.
Will he see
And I
it? He's
wonder...
thinking. He's taking his time.
And queen b3. Oh, and look at Antipov. That was definitely a head shake. He was like, how did I miss that? And Mizzou is in trouble now. I mean, if they lose this game, Virginia only needs another half a point. And I think you're losing a lot of material. I mean, what can you even do? I mean, if you go rook b2, you hang the knight. If you take on d2, it's not like you're giving up the exchange. You're going to lose the knight as well. So I think what you have to do is you have to go like rook b2 and play this position down a knight. But that looks like a lot to ask. So Mizzou is in big, big trouble right now.
And you can see it on his face. He clutches his forehead. He shakes his head. You see him giving so many little head shakes towards the camera. He knows he might have just blown it for his team, and he's been playing so solidly, so well so far, too. I mean, the game is far from won, especially against such a strong player like Antipov. But, oh, he must be absolutely upset with himself right now.
Yeah, Antipov is a strong player. He's a tricky player. I'm sure he's going to try to find a way to fight back here, but it's a lot to ask for. He's potentially just going to lose a piece. He goes bishop b6. I think a tricky move. If you take the rook, then black can take on b5. And if you take the queen on a2 is hanging. So he's fighting back, but yeah, Mizzou in big trouble here. If Jason wins this game, then it's looking tough for the Mizzou team. The question is, can they get at least another half a point in those other games?
Right, and these are what these grandmasters are very good at doing, creating this counterplay, making positions complicated when they're losing, not making it easy on their opponents. There's a reason why you see a lot of positions, even if you go to over-the-board tournaments, where maybe a lower-rated player will be beating a grandmaster and then they're able to turn it around. So Jason's really going to have to do a long think here, but Virginia could come ahead.
Yeah, let's see what he's going to do. Again, if you take the queen, black takes on a2, so it's not over yet. And now also, Jason is falling behind on the clock. But keep in mind, everybody, that both of these players are perfect so far. Both Jason and Antipov are on 3 out of 3. Okay, you could consider rook a1. Rook c1, by the way, looks like a very clean move. I like what he's doing. I like what he's doing a lot. Like, he traded off the queens, simplifying the position. Now he's aiming to go rook c7. And yeah, it's looking tough for Antipov. I don't know if he can really keep this game alive. So let's perhaps have a quick look at the bird's eye view to see if Virginia can get that other half a point in. On board 3, things are looking great for Ishik. It looks like he's just... Oh, wow, look at that. Let's pull up that game between Ishik and Alex. He just sacrificed his... Oh, we have to go to this game. What?
We have to do a replay on that one. See the tactics there.
Wow, what a game by Ishik in this position. He sacrificed the queen.
The queen. Oh
for
my.
This double check. If the queen moves into the corner, you take, and it's checkmate. So the king moves up, double check, checkmate. Wow, what a game by Izek. And right
Wow.
now... So
That's just a
Mizzou gets a
crazy
win there.
tactic. A
Yeah.
well-needed win as well.
They really needed that one. So let's go back to the bird's eye view. Can Virginia get that other half a point? I mean, I think Jason is going to do it. I think he is going to get that point in. But can they get another half a point? I mean, it seems like Marta is doing pretty well on board 4. Raja doing pretty well on board 3. So even if Jason wins, if Raja wins and Marta win, then they would force overtime.
Which is exactly what they need to do here. But I don't know, there's still a lot of life left in those games. Maybe we should look at Marta and Jason Liu. Take a quick check at that position, because that's where things might be able to swing.
Yeah, let's have a look. So b4 was just played. White did not hang a pawn, because if you take twice, the knight on c5 will be hanging. So let's see what's going to happen. I guess this knight is going to have to move to like e6 or something. But overall, I quite like White's position. White is having the bishop pair, some attacking prospects on the king side, with maybe h5 coming next. So yeah, things is now looking easy for Jason here. Let's see what he's going to do. And he's also now behind on the clock. Okay, b4 is hanging. Maybe queen e4, so to bring the queen over to the king side. That's where you want to attack.
Right, and she's managing to keep up on the clock, which has been very important for her so far. This could be what she needs, and also it'd be a great win if she's able to defeat Jason, who's been doing very well in this match as well.
Right. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen. It looks like Jason Moorfield is displaying some good technique in his game against Antipov. Again, I don't think Antipov is going to save that game. And if Jason Moorfield wins, they only need another half a point. I think, honestly, that half a point could come in Raja's game. Perhaps we can pull up that game.
Let's take a look.
A rook trade just took place, but can Black win this endgame? I don't know. It might just be a draw, like king d3 or something. Raja's going to have to win this game, but king d3 is the move I suggested, but the computer doesn't like it. f5, yeah, that's a nice move by Raja. You want to open up the position when you have the bishop.
This is some very nice endgame technique going on right here. A lot that we could learn from.
Right, so
and can you kind of walk us through the idea?
Yeah, so in case White takes your capture the king, by the way, Jason Moorfield has won his game. So Virginia is at 8 points. Both Marta and Harshit will have to win their games, otherwise they just lose. I mean, again, what a shocker that would be. But yeah, Raja has a pawn. I think he can do it, but still a lot of work to be done.
And for you guys tuning in, Virginia is the 8th seed against the 1st. It would be an amazing, huge upset for them if they were able to win this match, and they're so close. In fact, they really only need another half point. Anything could happen here.
Yeah, so knight h4 was just played. Perhaps he needed to go knight h4 one move earlier to stop f5 from Raja. Now, let's see what Raja is going to do. You can take an e4, you can take an h4. Still looking very close to a draw. But yeah, Mizzou, they might be feeling some pressure here. I don't know if they're aware of the match situation. Okay, f4 was played, knight f5. I don't know. I mean, Owen might just hold here. This knight is doing a great job holding the king side together. White can start to go pawn hunting on the queen side. I don't know if Raja can win this game.
Right, and you just know that everybody is watching here. They're really, I don't know if they know the match situation, but they know that they have to have a really good score that they haven't been able to pull off so far in round 4. So even if they don't know who lost, I don't know. I think Raja knows this is a must-win situation.
I think so, yeah. I mean, if you're down by 2 points going into the final round, f3, by the way, tricky move. His idea is to go bishop d2 to e1, so the king just stepped back, but the pawn could also be weak, and Raja now down to 6 seconds. But yeah, I was just gonna say, if you go into the final round and down by 2 points, you're never going to be able to fully keep track of the score, but you kind of know that you have to keep winning. I think, by the way, knight h4 is a nice move here, as it will completely lock the king side. But b4 might be a nice move as well. 6 seconds for knight h4. I don't think he can win this position. I think, if anything, White's just playing for the win.
And there was actually a look of surprise that crossed Raj's face. It was very interesting there. He raised his eyebrows a little bit, but in concentration. This is also a time scramble. Look at that. Didn't even see that time there, which makes it maybe less drawish than it appears. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, anything can still happen in this time scramble. But I feel like White should not lose this. Knight h4, okay, maybe c5. But in the meantime, Martha's game is still ongoing, but she's in trouble and she's down to 3 seconds. I think the Virginia team is clutching it. I think they're
You think they're
actually
gonna win
clinching
it?
the match. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought? This is absolutely insane.
That is crazy. And like we said, Mizzou's going to go home and they're not going to be feeling good if they're not able to save this match. That is such an insane upset. Who would have thought from
Oh,
Virginia? A really strong way to start. Whoa.
but we
Or
might be
not.
speaking too soon. Raja is fighting here, but I think they're lost in Martha's game. Raja has to fight on, yeah. All right, so take on b4. You can't take. Maybe no, but there's no way. I think no, this has to be a loss. Taking king c6 or king d6 right away. This pawn game has to be winning for black. Oh wait, king b5. He just blundered. What is
he
king
doesn't see it.
What is king b3?
Well,
How
there's
do you
so
not?
little time.
All right, it looks like Raja is gonna win, but Martha is lost on the last board. Oh wait, no, wait, is Raja gonna win? No, wait, it's a draw. I think it's a draw in Raja's game. He can walk the king back. King. Oh my god, this game is gonna end in a draw. King e2, White's in time. That's
Are you
it.
going to see it?
That's the match.
And
Yeah,
for those
that's
who don't
over.
know, this is the rook pawn. The rook pawn is very difficult to promote, and that is why we are seeing the draw right there. And that means, does that mean it? Can we call it?
That's it. Yeah, and oh, what a turnaround, because Martha was completely lost, but now she's actually winning. So if Raja would have won that game, he would have forced overtime, but it wasn't meant to be. I mean, what an upset. What an upset. I've never seen something like this.
An absolutely insane upset. I mean, no matter what the outcome of this game, it will still go to Virginia, although this is some nice fighting from both Marta and Jason.
Yeah, this game, it looks like it's just going to be a draw, as yeah, it's just completely even. But what an absolute shocker. I mean, Virginia beating Mizzou, I never would have thought that would happen.
And if you can just see the faces of every single player right now, like,
look at Alex.
they're just
I
looking
saw him looking at
shocked.
the camera with his mouth wide open. He's like, "We won. We actually won." And now he's calling his
Like he was talking to someone.
roommate in. He's like, "Yo, dude, you can't believe what happened. Like, we are the 8th seed, and we beat the 1st seed. Like, who would have thought that? Like, let's go. Look at him. He's so happy."
Look at it, he's like monologuing right now off camera.
No, I mean, but
That's so funny.
now they're all saying goodbye. But I mean, what an underdog story. I mean, I would have never thought that this Virginia team would beat Mizzou. Like, what an upset.
No, Mizzou didn't even think this Virginia team would beat Mizzou. That's why they didn't bring even their strongest players here. They were like, this is going to be easy. We're going to take it home. We're the 1st seed. Like, we're the ones to beat. But, you know, Virginia came out swinging. They played some very good chess there.
Yeah, and I wonder what Coach Christian Karela is going to think of this. I haven't seen him in the chat or anything. I know he's a busy guy, but I'm sure he's not going to be happy about this one. Now, the good thing for Mizzou is that you only need to make top 6 to make it into the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they're going to make it, but maybe in the next couple of matches, they're just going to bring their A-team and not take any chance. Just bring Tari, bring Luca, and yeah, no more messing around.
Absolutely. Their coach is going to make them run some laps, you know? They're going to have to go through some endgames, play some blitz. That's going to be a tough one for Mizzou. But what a victory from Virginia. We saw them celebrate. They've got to be so excited, and just an amazing way to open up this season of 2024 Collegiate Chess League.
Yeah, no, again, amazing performance by Virginia. I mean, again, their board one really did what he had to do, scoring 4-4, but also the others. They did amazing, scoring upsets here and there, and in the end, they defeated this super strong Mizzou team. So hats off to Virginia, and yeah, I'm curious to see what Mizzou is going to do in the next matches to ride the ship.
Absolutely, Ben. And you know what? Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been an amazing first show of the season. We're excited to be back next time. I hope you will join us at 2024 Collegiate Chess League.